Good evening and welcome to the FBL Radical Endurance Championship live from Brands Hatch. I am James Parfitt and I'm going to be your host this evening, and we're going to be going out broadcast live on the FBL YouTube channel and using iRacing, the world's premier simulator. I hope you're all having a fabulous time. We've got John Hutchinson's in chat, evening, Ivan Bramer, evening, Steve Place, evening. There's a lot of evenings going on tonight. And we're here at Brands Hatch with a track length of 3.89 kilometres. Corners such as Surtees, Stirling, Dingledale as well. And you're in for an absolutely epic race this evening. I'm going to be joined by Tom Dillon in the booth tonight, who's going to be guiding you all through the action this evening alongside me. So there you go, guys. You're in for a treat tonight. We've got Tom, who's going to be here calling all the action for us and absolutely having a stunning evening there as well. So we're going to switch over to the live screen and I'll bring Tom into the booth. Oh, there you go. So Tom, welcome in. How are you, sir?
I'm great, and I'm looking forward to what should be pretty entertaining 90-minute race in the Radicals around Brands Hatch. It's always a circuit that tends to deliver a lot of room for overtaking, particularly in the Radicals, given the fact they're not very aero dependent, these cars. And well, overall, it should be a pretty hotly contested contest over 90 minutes. And I can't wait to get started with it.
Yeah, it should be a good one. Andrew Horswood ran out the winner last time out in Red Bull with Dennis Kiriakopoulos and Paul Crabb in third place. So let's take a look at the championship. There you go, Tom. Over to you.
So it is Dennis Kiriakopoulos who leads the way as a privateer with 147 points. He's got a 17-point buffer to Eric Hanoi in second position. Another privateer, the Norwegian, running the number 52. And then is John McHutchinson, who's just sitting there in third position for Team Red Line. And then he is joined by Stefan Sheen, another privateer on 113 points. So a little bit of a ways back, but Marco Tolman is quite close to him in fifth position, with Nihad Glushik in sixth and Graham Brown sitting in seventh for Moving Matters. Then it's Daniel Cascado in eighth position from David Rolliston in eighth and ninth. Andrew Horswood is in 10th position with David Walters and Paul Crabb making 11th and 12th. And then it's Damien G, Joel Amos and Anders Liljehoret in 12th through 15th, I should say. And then it's Paul Clark, Francesco Cinco, and Alphonse Ruiz rounding out the 18, at least on that page, of the standing. So really, the notes to take from that, I suppose, is that the top five are all relatively close together. One failure to finish from Dennis Kiriakopoulos or anyone else in the sort of top five, it would mean that all the other drivers are right in this championship fight.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a close one. And as you say, Dennis Kiriakopoulos is on top at the moment. Eric Hanoi was talking about earlier on in Discord that he may not be able to make it through due to sickness, but he looks like he is on the in the lineup tonight. So that should be an interesting one. And with 50 points currently up for grabs for the victor, Eric Hanoi is going to try his best to participate this evening because he doesn't want to lose them 50 points, Tom. He's in with a shout, so he's got to try and get it. And with everybody down to 20th place scoring points, it's vitally important that he's here, especially with the fact that they get a point for fastest lap, point for pole position. And then obviously they get their incident bonuses as well. 0 to incident, he gets 5 extras. 1 to 4, they get 3. And 5 to 7, he gets 1. So if he doesn't take part, he's going to lose a chunk of points this evening.
Definitely, and with a 10-round championship, 50 points is a pretty big margin, particularly in a championship battle that's close fought, where you've got consistent drivers who aren't going to be failing to finish races on their own merit. So barring any technical issues and things, it's unlikely that any of these top drivers will be crashing out of the race. So really, you've got to make sure that you're getting in and you're finishing, even if it means you're finishing all the way down in 20th position.
Yeah, exactly. They've got to try and score points, and Eric is not feeling great, so hopefully Eric will be able to sort of at least take part in some of the race to try and see if he can get some points. But we have got 22 drivers now. And we've got currently Nia Gluskic, who's last season's winner, hence he's got the number 1 car on his number 1 number, sorry, on his car. Not currently set a lap. Now, there has been an issue this evening, guys, as well. I will make you aware. It was initially set for 22x limit before they got a drive through. Currently, the session is set for 14x. I believe the drivers are going to be made aware. There was an error setting up the session, and they've only got 14x limit for an hour-and-a-half race, Tom. That's going to be challenging in its own right, really.
Well, Brands Hatch, they're quite lucky in the fact that there's not really anywhere where you can particularly extend the circuit. A lot of the curbs back directly onto grass, and of course, if you go onto the grass, then you've got enough problems. Never mind getting incident points. But the main issue will be when it comes to contact and things like that. In radicals, you can find that the racing can be quite close and sometimes a little bit argy-bargy, and you need to make sure that you're not making contact with people and you're keeping it clean. But if there's particularly a crash or something like that, those 14 incident points off the start, you can already pick up 4 quite easily.
Yeah, definitely straight away. And these guys do race very close together, but they are very fair. So, you know, normally a 4X is literally fully unintentional. They're never normally having any issues with dangerous driving or, you know, dangerous rejoins or anything like that. They're normally pretty good. So they should hopefully be able to all get through. Now, we have got about 3 minutes of practice before we go to quali, but as I say, some of them were really close in the sprint race on Friday to that limit before they got drive-through. So they're going for an hour and a half now, so it's going to be even harder for them. I think we might just see maybe a couple of drive-throughs, especially as you see here with John going up through Dingle Dell. There is no disqualification, but they do get drive-throughs every 14 X's. So yeah, they're going to have to be careful because Dingle Dell and up there is a very easy place to pick a 1X off, even if you wasn't doing it on purpose. They're quite tight on that specific section of circuit.
And the encouraging thing for the drivers is going to be that the pit stop strategy here is going to be quite malleable. They're going to be able to change how they're approaching this race, and that pit lane isn't the longest, so I imagine you won't be losing as much time as if you're a long pit lane like Spa or something like that. So that will be encouraging for the drivers. However, a drive-through penalty is certainly not something that you want to be adding to your problems in an evening. As John McHutchinson has added to some problems in this practice session, and he'll be thankful that it is only practice, but won't be hoping to do that in the race. We'll put it that way.
No, we did, as I say, most of these guys have been taking part in the sprint race on a Friday. And a lot of them have already done, 30 minutes around here, bar the practice and the qualifying. So they are all fairly experienced drivers around here, but it's just, it doesn't take much around here. And I don't know if you've been round in the SR8, but it can be at times a bit of a handful to drive. Especially around this kind of circuit, and especially coming into turn 1 as we are now with David Walters.
No, I haven't driven the SR8 myself, but I've raced around Brands Hatch a little bit in other sims, and it's a very, very tricky circuit to get right. It's quite deceiving in the fact that it looks very simple and very routine, but it's actually a very difficult circuit to get right, and particularly in some of the more club racing kind of style cars that you often race at Brands Hatch. It's not really a big international circuit these days, barring of course GT World Challenge, but you find that the cars really like to slide around here, and you have to be absolutely right on a knife edge.
Yeah, you've got to pay attention, especially when you come round turn 1 round Druids is not so difficult unless you miss your braking zone. But dropping down into Graham Hill can be very tricky. It was a couple of spinners there the other day taking the outside curb and just basically, unfortunately, going round once they hit the accelerator. So they have got to be very careful because these cars, if you over-accelerate, it doesn't take much to spin them round. So it's definitely going to be an interesting one.
Absolutely. As we just head into qualifying here, it's going to be a 15-minute qualifying session, and the drivers who each have 6 laps are going to be looking to, I imagine, get them underway quite quickly and get into a nice rhythm here. I imagine the tyres will be able to go for a couple of laps. Of course, it's a fixed setup series. There's not going to be any business of just doing one warm-up and one flying lap, as we immediately see the earliest taker is Paul LeMay for Two Brothers Racing, taking to the circuit for his first outlap of the afternoon, and well, looking to get an assault on the timing tower rather quickly.
Yeah, he's going to be the first one out. Him and so we've got Paul and Michael LeMay, both brothers, hence the race team Two Brothers Racing, really. Are going to be the first ones out on track, guys. If you have not joined us before and you're looking at the bottom thinking what they are the sector times that will come up. So if they're green, they're going fast. If they're purple, they set the fastest sector time. But they are all out on their out laps at the moment. So you're not going to get a true reading of what they're going to do until basically Paul here goes across the line and starts his flying lap. And as I say, I think we brought in the 6-lap rule, Tom, because over the first couple of races it got a bit manic on track. People couldn't find space and there wasn't a lot of room to be able to slot out and get a clean quali lap, so that's why the 6-lap rule come into force.
Yes, absolutely, and 6 laps really means that you're under pressure to get a lap in, and you can't just write off a lap and come back to the pits, and you really have to worry about each individual lap that you're undergoing in this race. And Paul LeMay right now going along quite nicely, heading through sector 1 here.
Yeah, he seems to be doing a stellar job at the moment. It was more important keeping it on track, trying to get one of the first little banker laps in really before you start pushing it once the tyres are warmed up. So that's hopefully going to be his plan, and he could be able to sort of get on and you know, do the job later on in the qualifying session.
Absolutely, and qualifying is probably the most high pressure event of the race weekend, and it's really where you have to throw everything away and chuck something at the lap. Paul LeMay right now not going along too well, actually. This is a pretty messy lap according to the timing tower, and it's not anything on Marco Tolman, who's going along nicely. That being said, Paul LeMay does go purple in one of the mini sectors as he heads now to the line on the main straight here at Brands Hatch. That's confusingly not actually straight, and Paul LeMay obviously does go to the top of the timing tower, but for how long, I wonder.
Yeah, exactly. We got Marco Thomas just jumped in pretty much straight away on a 1:18.6. Ivan Bramer on a 1:19.4. Some of the big ones have still got times to set. So John McHutchison, Dennis Kiriakopoulos has also not set a time. David Walters is another one who's normally up and around the front of the grid, and Eric Hanoi. So it's going to be interesting to see what these guys do and see how they get on with basically about 12 minutes remaining on the times currently at the moment.
Yep, and well, it is Busen who has set the fastest lap at the moment. That being said, Paul LeMay is going for a back-to-back hot lap and currently purple in the first and third mini sectors, as well, he's going along quite nicely at the moment in the striking blue coloured Radical, and he's got a little bit of traffic ahead of him. That won't help him a great deal. He can hope to get a little bit of a tow down this little straight here, and eventually he's through in the end. But now Paul LeMay trying to get further up the order, currently in 5th position. It is looking like a good lap, but is it going to be a good enough lap? And I don't think it is. He stays in 4th position.
He's just gone up to second on a 1:18.2. Ivan Bramer gone fastest on a 1:18.1. So the times are coming down, so we'll be interested if we see who's going to be the first into the 17s. Mike Buson, there you go. Tom, question answered. Mike Buson on a 1:17.8.
Yep, and well, whether that will be enough for pole position at this early stage, we're not too sure. We still haven't seen the so-called big boys in the championship like Kirakopoulos and Eric Hanoi set a lap yet. So we'll be waiting for them to throw their hat into the ring. But right now, Buson looking like he's going along quite nicely. And I'm being told that the fastest lap in practice with a 16.9, so suggesting that perhaps Buson won't quite have enough if it is to stay like this. He's going to have to improve, improving is something that, Danilo Cascado is doing right now. And so is Paul LeMay as well. So a lot of drivers wanting to use their 6 qualifying laps quite early.
Yeah, I think they're just getting out. As I say, John McHutchinson has just come out onto track as well, so it's going to be interesting to see what John will do. He's normally up and around, as I say, he's been in a 116s. Paul LeMay on a 117.6. A big moment for John there, as you see the back end having a right old tank slapper. But Mike Bousson is currently set the fastest 3 purples. And he's currently going as well. So there you go, Mike Bousson is currently purples across 3 of the sectors and on pole on a 117.59.
Yep, and 17.59 definitely going to be a difficult one to hold on to pole position with, given the fastest lap in the practice session. And obviously we are just waiting for the so-called big guns of the championship to start setting some lap times. That being said, it should be fairly competitive. And looking at the championship standings, Bousson is no slouch. He's only raced in 1 round and he's already 28th in the standings. So 13 points even means he had a pretty decent haul at the previous round in the Red Bull Ring. So perhaps just trying to get a few good points on the board to try and build something as we head towards the second half of the season.
Yeah, he's Mike did make us all have a chuckle in one of the sessions as well. Basically, completely missed the start of the start line, basically, and literally come out and did a couple of laps for us just to basically come and say hi at the race. So it was quite amusing. He was an hour late, basically, and yeah, he just come out and did a couple of formation laps at the end as we look at Mr. Kiriakopoulos. And what has he been up to? Disappearing. That's what he's been up to.
That's a minor drama for the championship leader, who had to take a brief excursion on to the grass and the gravel, and he'll be looking to, I imagine, clean up his tyres and make sure he can get back out here. Yet to set a lap time on my timing screen is the championship leader, so we'll be waiting with a keen eye to look at that one. And we're waiting a few more people to filter through with some lap times. Horsewood has gone in second position, a couple attempts off of pole still, and everyone else just filtering on through, trying to just improve incrementally each time. And I suppose that's one of the benefits of these radicals, and the fact that you can go for back-to-back qualifying laps. You can really get into a rhythm, and you can really incrementally improve your qualifying, and it kind of helps, I suppose, because you don't have to immediately switch from thinking about out laps to thinking about hot laps, and it can really help when you're actually just trying to get into a rhythm for a qualifying session.
Yeah, definitely from that one. I think at the end of the day, these guys will know where they're losing a bit of time, and they will try and push that edge, I suppose, to get that a little bit quicker in the areas that they're losing time. They've obviously got all the information. You know, they're not far off in the information we've got. Andrew Horsewood is currently green, green and purple across the board as we jump on board with Dennis Kiriakopoulos here for a lap of Brands Hatch.
Heading through turn 1, going to keep the car on a knife edge. Some minor adjustments through there, then spot the braking point about at the bridge. Probably down to about second gear through here. He's not going to take a late apex. He's only just going to sort of creep around the corner into the next left-hander. Again, you could just see how the car is trying to slide on him at every possible opportunity. It's I'd say it's more tending towards a little bit of oversteer than understeer, but Kiriakopoulos has it on a knife edge for the time being. Currently in 16th position. He's going to have to improve on that much, and we can certainly say that as he's as we said, leading the championship, and he'll be expecting a minimum top 5 finish as Horsewood actually goes on pole position. But Kiriakopoulos soldiers on, heading through the next sequence of corners, heading through, I think this is sector 2 now, and again, just keeping the minimum speed up as he heads through the final couple of corners. Now the left-hander dip the car in nice and early, unleash the car now down the straight to spot the braking point for this final corner, make it nice and easy, and again he looks to have the car absolutely planted perfectly. Does Kyriakopoulos, what's it going to be across the line? Is it going to be a major improvement? And, well, according to that, it is P10 in the end for Kyriakopoulos.
Yeah, he's just dropped into 11th place. So David Rolliston pipped him on at 1:17.8. Now, the interesting thing about Mr. Dennis Kyriakopoulos, he's not on anything fancy. He runs a G29 steering wheel from Logitech and drives in socks. He doesn't use shoes. So there you go. That was one of the talking points of the last time out. He actually drives around in socks. Now, I've got to be honest, he did message me and say, James, you should drive in socks. It makes you faster. I thought he was joking, but actually I've set my first 2-minute one lap at Sebring in a GT3 in socks. So, yeah, there you go. Maybe we should all drive in socks.
It does definitely make you faster socks because you get a better feeling with your feet on, particularly on the cheaper pedals. And as we see Walters cross the line, he's going to go and not improve. Actually, he stays 7th with a 17.5 for the time being. Horswood stays on pole position, which is somewhat of a surprise. Actually, he doesn't seem to be anywhere in the standings really. 10th at the moment, but he has only actually competed in one round as Andrew Horswood, and that was last week, and it was a win as well. So maybe he's just saving the best till the second half of the season.
Yeah, there's still quite a lot of points up for grabs. So Andrew did join us at the Red Bull Ring for the endurance, and he did come out victorious. He is one of the quick guys. Don't get me wrong, none of these are really slouches. You know, certain people are looking at about a sort of a 5-6k high rating. So, you know, no slouch. Andrew's currently nearly 5k. John is over 6.5k. So, you know, they're a lot better than me, mate. And, yeah, they kind of know their way around the cars. So, Andrew, I'm sure, will be pushing up through the championship table at a rate of knots. They're getting up to the front end of the field.
And being a fixed setup championship as well, you can really focus on what you are doing wrong with the car rather than worrying about any setup loopholes that you're not quite finding, because you can be assured that no one else has found them either. So that's encouraging for someone jumping into the series as Dennis Walters goes into 6th position. And,
yeah. Currently, I've just had producer Tyler in my ear. The gap between Kyriakopoulos and David Rolliston, 0.002. So there you go, 0.002 of a second between them guys in 11th and 12th. So it's going to be definitely an interesting one. I hope everybody is fine. Evening, Rob Williams, you've just joined us in chat as well. Don't forget, guys, as well, subscribe, turn on your bells, and give the stream a big old thumbs up. Just to show us here how wonderful we are doing. Dennis Kyriakopoulos jumping into 4th there. Oh, he's just gone down to 5th because Anders Lilliorda is taking that spot away from him.
That's a big lap from Kyriakopoulos towards the end of this qualifying session. Only a couple of minutes left now, so probably I'd say if he can get back round and he hasn't used his 6 laps already, it's going to be probably one more lap for Kyriakopoulos. And, well, 5th is definitely a good platform to build upon as you head into a 90-minute race. And that's a pretty massive length. That's about the length, not the distance, but the length of a Formula 1 race.
Yeah, these are not the most easiest cars to drive for that time either. Don't get me wrong, I did one of the first series of the FBL that they brought out last year. And 90 minutes is, yeah, you kind of have to peel yourself off the chair with this car because you are constantly working very hard to get it done as well. We've got 22 cars on the grid, so you're going to have to concentrate full on here as well. And Dennis is literally used his 6th lap. So Dennis there jumping into 5th on a 1:17.3.
Yep, and, well... 5th position is, as we said, a decent place for Dennis Kyriakopoulos to finish at this stage. Of course, he's got a championship lead to defend, as we keep on mentioning. But in 5th at this stage, you've just got to think about championship points if you are really going for that championship. There's no point making yourself a hero and trying to go all out for pole position when you have that ability to defend and just kind of sit back a bit and hope the race comes to you, as everyone now is going through to set what's going to be, I imagine, their final qualifying laps, as Kyriakopoulos is actually going to go through to set his final one on this lap, though he isn't improving a great deal.
No, not currently as well. He's got 3 yellows and a green, so it's going to be interesting to see what he can pull out. As I say, he is above his 6 laps, so I'm not quite sure if he's aware of that. Ivan Bramer's above as well. He's currently on 10 laps, and Eric Hanoi is also above on 7. Everybody else has been fairly gentlemanly and been around their 6 laps of allowed qualifying. So we'll have to see how these guys get on as we come to the end of quali.
And so it is Horsford on pole position, looking to make it 2 wins in a row, make it, or extend, I suppose, his 100% win record in the series. Currently 1 race under his belt and 1 win to boot as well. And well, I think he'll be rather happy with how that has happened. And then, of course, Busan in 2nd position, equally as happy with his qualifying, considering as it was Busan we mentioned, who again is one of the fairly newer people to the series, only doing the 1 race. As I look through the championship standings to see if that's correct, it is. He's the one with the 13 points after 1 race, so going along nicely and heading in to a 90-minute race. It's now going to be about how quickly you can change your mentality from the qualifying ahead of what's set to be a very attritional 90 minutes around Brands Hatch.
Yeah, that I'm very sweaty, mate, to be honest. I'm not going to lie. This circuit is definitely going to make these guys work full bore around here. We are just waiting for the official results to come through. They do take a bit of time. I'm not asking you to entertain it with singing, Tom, but that was something I did in the Nordschleife. Sprint race was decided to bust out a song. So if you want to, make any singing, towards this short period of time we've got, then go for your life.
No, I think I'll pass on that offer as to save me. Saved by the bell is the standard, as Andrew Horswood is in pole position from Mike Busan in 2nd. John McHutchinson is in 3rd. Dennis Kirakopoulos is in 4th in the end, not 5th. Anders Leah Hordet is in 5th position from Marco Tolman in 6th. And then it's Paul LeMay in 7th from David Walters in 8th. And then it's Michael LeMay in 9th position from Ivan Bremer in 10th. 11th is going to be Eric Hanoi from Joel Amos. Sandros Kapler is in 13th position. David Rolliston in 14th. Colin Wynn in 15th. Damien G in 16th. Daniel Cascado in 17th. Graham Brown in 18th. Nihad Glusic in 19th from Lee Green in 20th position. And the final 2 on the grid are the Team Redline driver of Stephen Place and Gary Truby for BSR. Is they're just gridding up now, I can see, James, and just how crucial is getting this start.
They've got to be looking at trying to get the jump into the first corner. Now, we're waiting for Lee Green to get onto the grid and then we'll hand back over to you. But they've got to try and keep it on track. This car is very slippery over the first 1 or maybe 1.5 laps, if not 2, depending on how they're working it out. So they've got to be very careful down into turn 1 because we have seen people run wide where they've hit it with too much speed. So they're going to have to be very, very careful going into turn 1. And they've got to look at trying just basically, they've got to stay clean for the first few laps. It's a 90-minute race. It's not a 30-minute sprint. So it's going to be an interesting one to see what these guys do. But then again, you're trying to tell drivers such as John, Mike and Andrew not to race each other early on is like trying to get blood out of a stone. So there you go.
And please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe there's a formation lap here, as it's going to be all about getting your tyres up to temperature early. So we do go to the lights then, and we are going to go to 5 red lights. And it is lights out and away we go here in Brands Hatch. And it's a good start from Horsewood down into turn 1. He's going to be challenged slightly as McHutchinson down the inside is going to jump Booston down into turn 1, as everyone again is just trying to make up some positions early on as they make sure the tyres get up to temperature as they head through the first hairpin now. And you can see around the outside a few of the drivers having a little bit of a scuffle, just keeping in mind those incident points, making sure they don't do anything silly at this stage. Who is this? This is Tolman, Kirakopoulos and Paul LeMay having a little bit of a scrap for 6th position, and it's in fact LeMay and Tolman trying to go through on each other, isn't it? And let's have a look at what happens here, as I think they're just going to stay fairly in line of stern for the time being, and he thinks about the move down the inside, not going to do it in the end. So with an hour and a half still to go in this race, everyone is clean for the time being, James.
Yeah, no issues so far for anyone. We've got Daniele Cascado has passed Damien G. Truby's gone past Green. Place has gone past Brown. and as well, so they've been one of the movers and shakers in this early stages of this first lap as these guys head out to the last corner, which is Clark here. As you can see, Damien G and Daniele Cascado nose to tail on that run up into the last corner.
16th position, Danielle Cascado, and 17th for Damien G. And Damien trying to make up some positions in this race early on, and I think that's going to be one of the keys to this race, actually making sure you can sift your way through the order as early as possible. For these people at the back, the majority of this first stint is just going to be trying to get into a position where you can challenge as you head into the latter stage of this race. There's a dive at the back, actually, and that is placed down the inside. It was a brave move on the brakes, and well, he's given the room nicely by Graham Brown, and well, that was a lovely looking move as they head now down as Colin Wynn is trying to make a move on the inside. Either that or he's made a move on, and he's just about edged out in the end by Eric Hanoi, who currently fighting for that championship in these middle stages of the season, is only in 12th, and I think really sifting through the field is going to be his main priority more than anyone.
Yeah, he's got to try and look a get up in the field. He's -1 on his grid start already. He's got to try and look. He's got Joel Amos in front of him. Colin Wynn, who is no slouch. I know Colin from this series as well, but Joel Amos has run wide. That's allowed Eric Hanoi through and put Joel under attack from Colin Wynn, heading down into Clark Corner at the end of lap 2.
Around the outside then, Amos not quite able to find a way through on Colin Wynn. He's going to have to wait for the slipstream down into turn 1 as we see a battle further forward. This is Tolman and Kirakopoulos, isn't it? Tolman trying to go down the inside then, and here we go. Is he going to be able to be brave on the brakes? He's squeezed out by Kirakopoulos and maintaining the move around the outside, and I think he's just edged out in the end. Kirakopoulos stays in 5th.
Yeah, so this is Marco Tolman, Paul LeMay and David Walters here with Marco Tolman in the orange and black leading us away. They are chasing Dennis Kirakopoulos. There is Dennis in the orange and blue car. Heading down the straight, down Pilgrim's Drop they go, going into Hawthorne at the top. Right-hander, 4th gear, full throttle to try and get that car settled as they run down into the tricky Derek Minter Street and down up into Westfield Tom. They've got to be looking at careful going into Dingledale. It's a very off-camber corner, and it is literally blind as they're coming up over the hill.
Yes, I apologise. I think I got a little bit confused with the overlay there. This is Paul LeMay in the number 27 trying to make a move on Marco Tolman. Dennis Kirakopoulos, as James said, is just a little bit ahead of them. But now David Walters is trying to make a move around the outside of Paul LeMay, and LeMay actually is being dropped a little bit by Tolman. That gap sits at about 6/10 of a second now, and Walters is thinking about to move down the inside. He's not going to be able to find the speed to do so and has to stay behind. This is one of the interesting things about a race like this, where everyone is in a train together. You find that often if you be a bit aggressive, as actually there's a mistake from Paul LeMay as Walters now thinks about it around the outside, but again there's not really braking performance there, with another mistake by LeMay, who's having to hold on quite staunchly at the minute. But as I was saying, if you're in a train, going for a bit of an aggressive move could actually end up having you lose out on everyone else. Yeah,
we're just going to have a look at replay of Lee Green here to see what Lee's been up to. This could explain why Sandro Cabella has gone in the pits early as well. But I don't see Sandro anywhere in contact as Lee takes the inside curb, bounces him out and puts him unfortunately onto the gravel, as you see there around Clark. And he hold it, he spins it, oh no, he's just stopped it and jumped straight in, so not quite sure what happened there. But he seems to be on the wall, and Sandro Cabella is out back on track, but down in 21st place.
Remember, there are, I believe it's 3 fast repairs that they're allowed in this race, which means they basically have 3 cars at their disposal, and that will be very, very useful for these drivers, particularly if they get caught up in incidents early on, and there are 2 mandatory pit stops as well. But here we go then. Dennis Cascado is going to find himself under pressure down the inside from David Rolliston, who actually was Danielle Cascado through on David Rolliston for 14th position, and he's going to hold on to it as well for his troubles down the inside. He had a little bit of a challenge, but not going to be. Danielle Cascado through.
Yeah, Danielle Cascado just jumps the new livery of David Rolliston there, brought it out this week, the red and white. Absolutely storming. He is in the Moving Matters, so I'm sure Colin Wynn may get hold of him and say, excuse me, young sir, why are you not running the Moving Matters livery? But there you go, that is David Rolliston's livery there, and the new red and whites. You see Paul LeMay still currently under attack from David Walters. I think David is going to be wanting to get past. These guys are still in the same positions they were when they started the race.
Absolutely, and maybe they just don't want to battle at this stage. Remember, you've got 2 pit stops to come up ahead of you, and as well a further 1 hour and 25 minutes of racing. So particularly risking and balancing the incident points. Of course, 14 for this race, which was a mistake in the server's configuration, as actually this gap is starting to open up a little bit as Bremer is through on Walters, and I couldn't quite see that happening there. So not too sure what's going on there, but well, they're having a bit of a battle, aren't they? As Walters down the inside again is going to get that move back. I think, no, he was overtaken by LeMay just ahead of him. He goes back around the outside and can't quite find the space.
Yeah, it looked like David Walters run wide in Clark. The last corner as well come out, kind of did the same as what we saw Lee Green do. Run a little bit wide, lost a couple of positions, now down in 10th. He's down 2 on his grid. Currently sitting in 10th place with Eric Hanoi, who's trying to look at moving up through the field. Of course, second in the championship, they're vitally important, and this is definitely going to be the space where Eric can move up and use the draft as a long run down Pilgrims into Hawthorne.
David Walters had a little bit of a look around the outside, not able to make it in the end. Here is Eric Hanoi now getting involved in this battle. He's currently sitting in 11th position and would quite like a top 10 for his troubles in this early stage of the race, and of course he was struggling to find a little bit of pace in qualifying, struggled in the first couple of laps, and is now trying to relax and just get back into a rhythm. And maybe this is the opportunity as David Walters and LeMay continue to have a little bit of a battle. There's no one ahead of them, as actually Walters is going to be an early taker for the pit stop.
Yeah, we jump back up front with Andrew Horswood and John McHutchinson. These guys separated by about 0.37. Andrew on a 1:17.58, John on a 1:17.59. Best lap times, and they were set on the last lap. So nothing between these guys, and they're kind of, Mike Bousson is near enough, dropping out to about a second back. But then again, he did a 1:17.61. So 2/10 only separating the top 3 in lap times. Currently looking at about 1.2 second gap between the leader, Andrew Horswood, and third place, Mike Bousson.
And well, after focusing a lot on the battles throughout the midfield, turns out there's a battle potting up for the lead of the race as well. Horswood and McHutchinson, of course, and you can see Horswood in that lovely gradient car with the just send it on the side, and I think with the 14 incident points he won't be able to just send it in this race, that's for certain. But McHutchinson just trying to stay in a bit of a rhythm, just keep Horswood honest, and you don't need to do anything silly at this stage, because I always say in these longer races, particularly more endurance style races, if you just hound someone, the move will eventually come. And of course, if McHutchinson doesn't have the pace, he has the ability through the pit stops to be able to try and pull something off with the strategy, whether he goes for an undercut for a or an overcut, and it really just depends. And you can have all these alternate strategies, and that might be what McHutchinson has to think about in this race if he can't find a way through. But right now, he's certainly keeping Andrew Horswood, who has led the majority of this race, in fact all of this race, he's keeping him very honest at the moment.
Yeah, it definitely is, and John McHutchinson is known for his pit stops. He likes to go in, and then he will sit in the car and fill it right up till its maximum level, be in the pits for about 1:13, if not longer, lose positions that will drop him down into 10th, and then while everybody's taking his second stop, John sneaks up through the field, and then basically he'll go into his second stop, and basically go again. He doesn't have to fuel or change tyres on his second stop. So John will literally go in, stop in the box, they'll send him again, and he'll go, and he'll come out and generally win the race, which is what he did last time. But an interesting fact between the front three, currently Andrew Horswood, John McHutchinson and Mike Bousson, their average in I rating is 5,306.
As that is David Rolliston, who is round and feeling rather silly, I would imagine, and almost was adding to the second retirement of this race. But he is back up and running now as we switch back to Michael LeMay, who's trying to make some moves forward, despite the fact that Eric Hanoi is still right on his back. As welcome Lee Green to the chat. You're the sole retirement from this race so far, I believe. Gave it a go, but turns out racing aside, it doesn't go well, so bailed out before I take anyone with me. And that might be smart as well. Oh no, there's been as I apologise, as LeMay just disappeared for a moment.
Yeah, I think
We had
that's
a major drama.
Yeah, a little bit of an internet issue there from LeMay. But Lee, I'd suggest definitely was the right thing to do. Well done to you for accepting the fact that drinking and driving, not that we condone it, even in sim racing, doesn't work. So there you go. But let's have a look back at the Dave Rolliston incident and see what he's been up to.
And, well, I suspect he just lost it on the curb. And was it a dip of the wheel onto the grass? It wasn't. And, well, the car's just turned around on him on the exit. And I wonder if he got a little bit greedy with the throttle. And apparently, he touched a little bit of the gravel on the left-hand side there. And maybe, well, that would suggest why he spun around so dramatically. And really, it's such an easy thing to do. But it is certainly an error that you wouldn't be hoping to make in a series like this. Hutchinson still just on the back of Andrew Horsford. In fact, he's now starting to push to try and get ahead of him.
Yeah, exactly. David Rolliston there, unfortunately, coming to the unfortunate ending of Westfield, and that's what happens when you run around Westfield Bend. You go too wide on the left-hand side, hit the gravel, and with these cars on the power, you're going round. There's no stopping them. You unfortunately touch the grass, you're likely to go round. You're going into gravel, you're likely to go round. They are that flimsy on the back end of suspension that is the chance they take by running wide at this very corner that Andrew Horswood, who hopefully will show us how it's got to be done. There you go, and he's off down Dingle Dell. But it is a really hard thing in these cars, Tom, that when they hit the grass or hit the gravel, there's not a lot of chance they're going to come back.
And that's why the drivers won't really be concerned about the cut tracks in the incident point as we switch back to a battle between championship leader Kirakopoulos in the strikingly orange and blue car, and going a little bit of a McLaren style livery there, but going to challenge Lily Hordet down into turn one. Has he got the speed? And has he got the top speed as well in the slipstream? And I don't think down into turn one there's going to be much doing for him. And he's going to have to just try and stay in the back for a moment and formulate a move elsewhere on the track, down into the hairpin for the 11th time. And Kirakopoulos is still just behind, and he can afford to take his time with this one. And that's what I've been saying all race long. You cannot stress enough how you have to take your time with these moves. You can't rush them. Particularly with the risk of getting incident points, but also risking harming your race in other ways, as we now actually switch back to a battle with Damien G, and he's gone off, and that's going to allow Graham Brown to have a little bit of a look down the inside. Is he going to be able to make a move on the number 28 car? He thinks about it around the outside, but in the end can't quite find space to do so.
No, as these guys come down Pilgrims, we see Gary Truby has been involved in an incident. Let's have a look back and see what Gary's been up to. Not on currently, okay, so that's just showing up on my incidents there, but Gaming Gamer in chat. Look who's at the top fighting once again. Yeah, Andrew Horswood and John McHutchinson. So that's Dan Peoples, one of the other commentators here for JBB. Jumping in YouTube chat as well. So we see Damien G still locked in this battle with Graham Brown, and up in front of him is Stephen Place from Team Radline. He's the second down the road. Going to be interesting. We've literally got about an hour and 15 minutes. Pit stop windows around about 25 to 35 minutes, Tom. So it's going to be interesting to see how they all materialise and who comes out wet.
Absolutely, but in fact there's a little bit of a drama from Joel Amos, who now down the inside is going to be... Oh no, there's contact! And that's Cascado, who is round, and he went for the move into their hairpin, and 2 into 1 just simply did not go. And he goes round and sees everyone sail on through, and it's now down into 17th for Daniel Cascado. And now this is where he has to start thinking about making interesting moves on the pit stops, as we see Marco Tolman coming under pressure from Paul LeMay now for 6th position, and LeMay not quite close enough to make a move at this stage, you'd suggest, but he's certainly going to be knocking on the door in a lap or so's time.
Yeah, I think there's a... Oh, he's gone round! He's gone round! Paul LeMay is round! There you go! LeMay caught the outside grass, and unfortunately that sent him round. He's lost places now. He's down in 10th place. He can't get the car recovered. Oh, he's got to look at getting out of the way there as Joel Amos comes through. And I believe that was one of the Monday cars as well. Colin maybe and Colin Wynn coming past him. How Colin missed that one, it'd be interesting to see on board with Colin. how close he was to actually tagging Paul LeMay there. But that's the dangers of this track. And as we said, one bit on the grass, and unfortunately for these radicals, you are going round.
Well, if it was a 100-mile-an-hour ballet dancing competition, he may have just won, but unfortunately for him, it isn't, as we're going to queue up a replay to see just what happened there in a little bit higher definition as we see Paul LeMay. And here it is. Let's just watch for the grass. And oh, it was on the right-hand side, driver's right. And I'm afraid to say that's unfortunately a little bit of a rookie error, breaking onto the grass and then oh wow, that was certainly very, very close. As we actually see Graham Brown trying to make a move, he's not quite able to do it, and that's Damien G just ahead of him, isn't it? And Damien G is through.
Oh, that was so close from Colin Wynn. Paul Crabb, even in all, guess who's fuel saving? Well, it's you. You're not in the car, Paul, so you're doing something. Rob, I only joined up for the sprint series, thinking that was a mistake. Well, I did try telling you when we had a voice chat, but you can see on the left-hand side the gainers and losers over the first 14 laps as we come into the end of lap 14 going into 15 there. You've got Steve Place on 9, David G up 3. Graham Brown, Nia Gluskick both up 4 as well, but currently Stephen Place is leading with the gains of 9. So flying start from him up into 12th place.
And oh no! There's a huge incident for Daniel Cascado once again. And he's off into the gravel for his troubles. And well, what a terrible couple of laps it has been for him. And well, just onto the marbles, I imagine, on the outside of the corner and just into the grass.
Yeah, he was trying to take it too wide round turn 1, and that's the problem when it doesn't always work, unfortunately for them. This is where you end up doing it, and that's the problem there for Daniele Cascado. He's got to get his head back in. I know Daniele for about a year now, so I know he'll get his head down and try and get back, but he is trying to catch up to what was Paul LeMay, who spun out earlier on as well. My teammate is fuel saving too. Tired to drive tonight, says Paul Crabb. So his teammate being John McHutchinson from Team Radline there, as well as also Stephen Place. However, you guys didn't have a good one last time, if I remember correctly, Paul. And I believe John was going to speak to you all about it. So how did that team chat go? But there you go, the joys of team racing in the Radical.
John McHutchinson, I can believe he's fuel saving because he looks to be hounding Horswood at every opportunity, but he's also not quite finding the extra pace to get through, and I'm sure he has that pace, and it makes sense why he'd be fuel saving at this early stage in the race. Remember, it is such a long race here around Brands Hatch, and this is Endurance Championship, and it makes sense why he'd just sit behind for a little bit, fuel save, and maybe use a little bit of the tow to try and save a little bit more fuel. As I believe we've got a bit of a battle here forming between Joel Amos and Colin Wynn, and you can see Colin Wynn just ahead here is going to have to get a little bit defensive. This is for the top 10 positions, of course. Top 20 score points, so the 10th position hasn't quite got the significance as it has in some more conventionally scored championships. However, Colin Wynn is still going to fight this one as he's pretty much in no man's land ahead.
Yeah, Colin will fight right the way down to even now, Paul there. As expected, they blamed John from Team Redline. I don't really believe that was John's fault, Paul. I think you've been a little bit unfair there. But Rob bringing up the conversation, apparently there are socks designed for sim racing. Now, I didn't know that. I've tried all variances of socks. I've tried my everyday socks. I've tried socks with grips on that I got from a hop trampoline centre. I couldn't remember what it was called. And they got little grips on the bottom. That felt a little bit uncomfortable, I'm not going to lie. But I'm finding, though, Tom, normal socks works best. I don't know about you. What do you drive in?
I agree. I trialled for a little bit when I started trying to take sim racing very seriously. The old karting racing boots that I had lying around during lockdown not being used. But then in the end, I went back to the old faithful socks, and it gives you such a better feel in the... Oh no! Oh dear! As we talk about socks, that's someone who's going to need a bit more than socks to get back round. And that was Iran Bremer and well, he's rounding into the gravel and having to get back onto the track. If I'm not mistaken, James, I'm not a particular iRacer myself, but I believe if you lose control, that's some incident points, is it not?
Yeah, it is. They get, basically, if they go off track, they get 1. If they go off track and lose control, like Ivan did, that's 2. And if they hit somebody, they get 4. Now, there is a chance that sometimes they do get car contact and they get 0, but that's a very, very small chance of that, as we see Eric Hanoi in the pits, one of the, I believe, behind David Rolliston and Sandra Cabela. So, yeah, so they've got to be careful. At the moment, though, according to my timing tower, that's Ivan Bremer's first ones, and he's only got 2.
Well, I was racing a bit of the MX-5 to try and get myself accustomed with the sim, and I noticed that those 0 contact points have to be really not a lot of your own doing to get that. If you essentially turn the wheel at all, you're going to get some contact points. So very rare, that's for certain.
Yeah, definitely. You know, at the end of the day, it's sometimes in officials, the incidents aren't always your fault, and as us as racing drivers, we say 100% are not our fault, because at the end of the day, you know, we're all Lewis Hamilton and that, and none of us make mistakes. But at the end of the day, you've got to be lucky to get away with 0 contact. And yeah, it's just, I think the problem is what are you still down in rookies there, Tom? Aren't you on the MX-5?
Yep, at the moment.
Yeah, so it's always tough down there because you're trying to gain SR to get your D license, and then that's when your I rating kicks in. But then you've got other people who are just driving it as if they're in a banger racing. So it's definitely a tricky one. Being down, I remember when I started now, I've been on the service since about January 2021. And it was a difficult run for them. So.
Dear. That's Damien G, and another drama for someone in this field, and now he's got Paula May. They've got a little bit of a band of spinners down there from 15th to 18th, and they're having a little bit of a battle between themselves. And who could be the king of the spinners in this race, but plenty of time for them all to get back up through this field. And I think the biggest thing to think about is the fact that because we're not running a safety car in this league, of course the iRacing being a rare service that actually has a safety car that works, because we're not running that safety car, a lot of the drivers that are further down that field, they're actually going to have to get back up on merit, so very difficult to do.
Yeah, they basically are. We've trialled the safety car in the first season of the endurance, as I say, back along last year. Didn't always go to plan, should we say. So, yeah, they took it out in the end and decided no safety car. As we see Michael LeMay there joining his brother on the band at Spinners by the looks of it.
Yep, and, well, maybe it's a bit of an extended ballet competition. They've all got involved now, and, well, it's clearly a battle of trying to stay on the circuit. We laugh at the drivers, but there are so fine margins. We've seen tipping a wheel onto the grass is enough to send you round. More easy to do on the exits than the entries, but these two haven't shown a sign of spinning just yet, touch wood. And, well, Kyriakopoulos is finally going to try and get through on Anders Lilja-Ordet, and he hasn't been able to find a way through. They've been battling for about 10 minutes now, and he hasn't quite been able to find a way through as Dennis, and he's going to try it, that's for certain. I think maybe if he gets a good run out of here, it's going to be into the chicane, into Druids, and it's not going to be a move.
Yeah, that was a very late move from from Lilja-Ordet there across the back of the track as well. So I think Dennis is going to have to think about twice now where he's going to make this move. If he's going to make it, it's got to be down Pilgrims as well. So down in chat, is it me or a lot of people make mistakes? It seems to be as the track temperature is cooling down, because we are coming down into sunset, as you can see. As you can see, Sergio Capella, he's just joined the band of creative spinners coming out of Dingle. So that's where that seems to be the main problem area this evening for these guys.
And, well, I suspect this is going to be a very similar incident to what we've seen so much his Damien G, and what happened to him. And it was actually just getting greedy on the throttle there from Damien, I believe, and just spun the car around.
Yeah, too much on the gas too early there, coming out of Druids for Damien G. Unfortunately, that drops him down the field into 16th. Sergio Capella is all the way down in 21st. Don't forget, he was the first man to pit. So he pitted on lap 3. So we're going to have to see how he gets on now with a little over, basically about an hour and 3 minutes remaining. They're going to have to settle in now. I think they're going to be looking at trying to go into the pit stop window soon. They're going to have to look at deciding what they're going to do. Is Dennis just going to sit behind Liliorde, or is he going to make the move going into the pits? I think it's going to be an interesting one here with these guys currently down in 4th and 5th respectively.
I'd suspect this is going to be a matter of the pit stop and just trying to either undercut or overcut. It depends which one the drivers in their testing have found the most fruitful, and they will have done a lot of testing, I imagine, to try and figure out these pit stop strategies and things like that. And I think that's going to be what Kirill Kaplan is going to need. Remember, you need a fairly big delta on the person that's ahead of you to be able to actually make a move, and particularly in a fixed setup series, you can't have a lot of extra top speed than the person you're battling. But well, it's not deterring this little gale of cars. Daniel Cascado, Paul LeMay and Nihad Glushik.
Yeah, these guys are from Team Made as well, so we do have a running joke of team orders. Should Daniele sit behind Nihad? Is Nihad holding up Daniele? Only we will know. And there's another one. Stephen Place at the same turn, coming out the top of Dingledale, heading on that exit down into Sterling's. And I'm sure if we have a look back at that one and the Michael LeMay one, I'm sure they're probably very similar.
And well, let's have a look at the Michael LeMay one. And it's heading down into Druids.
Druids, yeah.
And it's exactly the same as Damien G. He's just puff of smoke, greedy on the throttle, and he's round.
Yeah. So Nihad has dived into the pits.
Yes, and we slightly missed that, but here's the Stephen Place incident now, and I think this is going to be a matter of dipping a wheel onto the grass. Is it? Yes, it is on the exit, and that's enough to send the car round. Did well to lock the brakes, however, make sure that you get the brakes locked, and oh, someone's crashed.
Oh, Gary Truby there looking very well bettered in that Radical. And as Paul Crabb said in chat before that actually happened, it's a track where you're on the limit a lot. Have to use loads of curb and be close to the grass. Well, we saw that with Stephen Place. So we are going to have a look at Gary Truby as he comes racing across the start-finish line, down into turn 1. He's going to run wide, go onto the gravel. Oh, no, it was on the entry. Touched the grass on the entry there, Tom.
That's going to be a fast repair, doubtlessly, in this one, and first of 3 fast repairs, and you can see just how how he was tentative of getting back going as well, and well, we'll definitely be using a fast repair when he comes into the pit, and I'm not too sure whether he has pit. Here's the onboard, and dips the wheel onto the grass. He was really trying to activate the tyres there, heading through turn 1, and just exaggerated the left movement a little bit too much, and it wasn't going to work for him. Here he goes, crawls into the pits, and well, fast repair, I am sure.
Yeah, to be fair, he's coming into that pit stop window. He's not really going to lose a lot. He's going to go a lap down because here they go. Just discussing with Paul in YouTube as well, John McHutchinson. Fuel saving, not really making a move. He's just got across the line in a 1:17.1. Fastest lap of the race, Horsewood on a 1:17.4. So we're going to have to see how they go on and as well. But currently, all the way down to David Rolliston in 16th, still not pitted. Below that, Eric Hanoi's been in, David Walters, Sandra Capella, obviously Nihad's been in, and Gary Truby is definitely in after we saw that major incident with him. But lap 24, just under an hour to go.
And a few more people, a few more takers for the pit stops, and this is really one of the most interesting bits of the race, as we're now bang on a third of the way through, right on the pit window as well, and it's all about who's going to come in first, who's going to pull the trigger, and is anyone going to be forced into pulling the trigger? Have they not maybe saved as much fuel as they might have liked? Of course, the top 2 have really been in a league of their own at the moment and been able to nicely fuel save up the top by themselves. As I believe we are going to a replay of Paul LeMay, and is this another incident from Paul? And he suspects he's going to go a little bit wide here, and oh dear, Paul onto the grass, and does well to keep it. Oh, he does hit the barrier, so he does come into the pit, and maybe use a fast repair for that one. And I don't know how dramatic that damage would have been. He didn't hit the barrier at the greatest of speeds.
Yeah, that's the problem. But then again, as you say, not being in these cars, it's basically these cars are almost made of cardboard. If you tag anything within iRacing, you do kind of either bend a wing, or you'll see cars that have got a V shape at the back end of the gearbox where they're supposed to be flat, like John McHutchison's, but if we look at others, they're probably bent up. There's been a slight bit of contact. Paul has made a good point in YouTube. So hard to overtake when the guy ahead doesn't make a mistake. So play the long game. Oh, saying that, and Joel Amos has made one.
Yep, and he joins the band of spinners, and actually that is a quite dramatic amount of damage to that number 23 car, and he's going to have to pull back to the pits. He's quite lucky in that the radicals aren't so aero dependent, so the car doesn't look like it's really struggling that much in terms of getting it back round and keeping it in a straight line. But, well, this is down at turn 1, and it was oversteer mid-corner actually there, and touches the wall. And theoretically, that amount of a hit shouldn't really do a great deal of damage, but clearly these cars are made of cardboard, and we had to avoid a gaggle of 3 cars coming back onto the track.
Yeah, they kind of sit back with these, and the wings do what they're supposed to do. You know, you can imagine this as the SCAA Ford with no rear wing on, and you've got nothing at times than a very throttle-dependent tin cup almost, you know, because it can just, it's like a spinning top, it can just go around on its own. So we have seen cars carry on with that amount of damage, but they've not been the fastest. So if I was Joel Amos, I would look at going in, getting that rear wing done, and trying to cement what already is a loose car further down to the floor as best they can as well. I believe Gary Truby has gone in after going off again. So yeah, there he is, Gary Truby bouncing down through Dingledale, coming up over the right hand side, Dingledale corner. There he goes on the grass. Can he hold it, or does he tag a barrier?
Superb.
No, doesn't, just goes to the pits. So maybe he's another one that's decided enough is enough.
Hordet is under pressure from Dennis Kirakopoulos once again, and Kirakopoulos still sitting pretty behind and not able to make the move just yet. And they've been, it's about 20 minutes now that they've been stuck together, not quite able to get through on each other. And again, I think this is what Paul Crabb was alluding to in the chats. It's so hard to overtake when the guy ahead doesn't make a mistake, he says. It might as well play the long game. I think that's what's happening here. Particularly, I think it's crucial with the fixed setup, because usually when you've got an open setup series, people can make moves because they're stronger at different parts of the circuit. But here with the fixed setup, it's really about the driver themselves.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, it's all driver dependent. You know, they haven't got that option of open setup, so they've got to literally just use what they've got. Their skill, their practice, their throttle control, their brake control, their obviously track knowledge, because as we've seen with a couple of people running wide, you're off. You know, these cars don't grip on grass. Grass is nothing more than ice in iRacing, and if you're on it, you've got a big chance of ending up in one of these barriers. You are very lucky if you can survive at least a grass, a run along the grass.
And so about 55 minutes to go. The top 2 still yet to pit, and we've had a few takers further down the field as we continue to look at John McHutchinson and Andrew Horsewood, and both of them still just staying in tandem for the time being. It seems to be working to the benefit of the both of them at the moment, as they're not battling, they're not losing each other time, and they can just soldier on and perhaps wait for the pit stop. Here's the first of the so-called front runners who is going to come into the pits. It's Michael LeMay and the number 777 car, and in fact there's a few takers now. Graham Brown as well. So probably a tyres and fuel, or do you think they can double stint here, James?
No, they definitely will not chance double stinting. They might go now and might be able to get to the end on their tyres. But as for taking a double stint, it would be a very brave man to run the same tyres into the next pit stop. Most of these cars will go up on the jack and basically have a pit stop time round about a minute, minute 3 of tyres and fuel, depending on their strategies going towards the next second's pit stop. As we see the leaders coming in, Tom.
We do. And in fact, it's both of the leaders as well. So John McCutcheon and Andrew Horswood, neither of them are going to try and pull off anything with the pit stop. They're going to go bang on the same strategy. This is where it gets a bit important, because who has the faster pit stop and who has the better reaction time getting away is going to be the crucial thing to point out. Busen has taken the lead of the race, and Kirakopoulos is going for the overcut.
Yeah, Dennis has finally been released from Liliorde. Buson's obviously been driving around quite a lonely race for the first 29 laps of this race. Horsewood's out. Horsewood is out, but that isn't a surprise, knowing what John's going to do. Now, as I said, John's pit lane time will be just above a minute, if I'm not mistaken. Near enough, yep, give or take 3 seconds, 57 seconds. He's taken on more fuel, and they've got about 50 minutes remaining, so it'll be interesting to see how this one materialises.
So you're trying to say that you think John's going to go to the end of this race on that fuel?
I wouldn't be surprised if John manages it. If anybody else maybe did the same kind of style of thing, like John has gone in retrospect. Okay, so if we have a look at Buson's time, everybody else has been around about 48, 49, 50 seconds on pit stops. John's taken on 6 seconds more fuel than anybody else. His pit lane time was 56 seconds. His pit stop time was 36.03. So we can keep an eye on Mike here, and obviously Kirakopoulos is in, Marco Tolman's in, but John has taken on 6 seconds more fuel already than these guys. So I wouldn't be surprised if he goes a little bit longer for that second stint.
Yes, and well, maybe that's going to play into his advantage. We'll have to wait and see. Let's have a look. Horsewood is, of course, out at the front, and the question is Kirakopoulos
just... Oh, sorry there, Tom. He's just got out ahead of Buson. Look, there's a Horsewood down the hill, and there was Buson. There's John. Kirakopoulos has jumped John in the pits, but as I say, I wasn't surprised with the extra 6 seconds.
And Kirakopoulos, of course, jumping Lilia Hordet in the pits as well. So maybe there's a few more permutations with the pit stop strategy there to think about that we don't know at the moment. Of course, only the drivers are going to know that at this stage. And this is the benefit of these longer races. The benefit is that you have this pit stop strategy. It's not just all about the driver's pace. They have to be able to manage the tyres as well. But now, John McCutcheon, I don't think he's going to do anything about fuel saving. He's just going to want to get ahead of Dennis Kirakopoulos as soon as possible. Let's have a wait and see to see if he's able to send one down the inside. He definitely thinks about it. He's almost teasing Kirakopoulos with this. And as we go to the roll hoop camera angle, and you can see McCutcheon is just carrying a lot more speed through the corners, and the question is, when's he going to be able to dive one down the inside? I wonder. He's still in the slipstream and still not able to get through.
No, he's not making that move there into free. Hanoi's been off. Tolman's been off as well. Whether or not they collided as well, Eric Hanoi and Marco Tolman. Marco's looking very bad as we see McCutcheon running down into turn 1. Here, going up the inside now. He's going to look up the inside of Kirakopoulos coming into Druids. Outbraked Kirakopoulos, and away goes John McCutcheon. That's John up into third place now. So it'll be interesting to see how this one goes on from there. But Tolman and Hanoi come into the pits. It might be worth having a look back at that one. Here we go.
And here's the move then. And Tolman is going to dip a wheel onto the grass, and they touch each other, and he's into the air, and he's doing more pirouettes, and he just didn't lock the brakes, did he there?
It's a tough one though for Tolman, because unfortunately Hanoi had nowhere to go. This is what we talk about within this league, the dangers of running so close together as them guys have done. It only takes Tolman to go on the grass like he did, come back across the track. Hanoi went to go right, and he's put him up in the air, and that's the problem when you're racing so closely, Tom, is you can't preempt what the guy's going to do. We're not Mystic Meg. We don't have a crystal ball. You know, if he's gone onto the grass, we don't know how his car's going to react when he comes off it. And that, unfortunately, is what happened. So that was Eric Hanoi and Marco Tolman coming together. I believe Eric's gone back into the pits to get it repaired, and so did Marco. So, but as I say, when you're closely racing, it unfortunately is happened.
Yes, it's nothing against either driver's skill. It's just unfortunately one of those things. But I can tell you that in the meantime, Hutchinson has got past Kirakopoulos, and that gap is now up to 0.8 of a second. So Hutchinson now, Muck Hutchinson I should say, sorry, is going to try and chase down Buson as well. Here is Dennis Walters trying to make a move down the inside for 6th position on Ewan Bremer, and not quite able to find the extra speed through turn 1. It's a very fast corner, and really you run more risks than rewards getting through in that particular corner. And he's just going to see if he can stay behind for a little bit, maybe just again take his time, let the move come to him. As we said, there is absolutely no point rushing yourself through a move here. You've just got to apply the pressure and wait for them to do something silly.
Yeah, David Walters is a sensible one. Here he goes, he's looking up the inside on that run down Pilgrims into Hawthorne. These guys taking it too wide. Bremer is a confident driver. Capella has been involved. Another incident there. There is Sandro, who's now under attack from Stephen Place. Currently still looking as he is, but that is David Walters through on Bremer. Walters up into 6th place. Paul Crabb pointed out Dennis was on cold tyres, so not a lot for him to try and defend against John McHutchison. Cold tyres in the Radical, not a good idea, so that's why Dennis was probably unable to defend like he wanted to against John McHutchison. But McHutchison has currently pulled out a 3-second gap already, and this is what happened to Sandro coming up into Surtees. Probably going to guess he's going to hit the brake and the car's going to go round. Yep, too much entry speed, and unfortunately that is the result for Sandro Capella.
Yep, and well, we've seen so many spins and issues in this race for the various drivers, and I think it's very much the nature of this circuit. And oh dear, here is an incident happening immediately for Stephen Place, who is onto the gravel and eventually is able to keep the car in the right direction. And well, he can be encouraged by the fact that Tolman is still 2.7 seconds behind him, but not gaining a great deal of time on Sandro Capella as the headlights go ablaze.
Yeah, coming into that night time, we'll bring you up the weather and have a look where we're running currently on daytime here at the Brands Hatch. For some reason, the date is not working, but the time is 5 to 9 in the evening. Track temps 23 degrees, 22 degrees outside air temperature, 2-mile-an-hour wind. So we aren't anywhere in the date, apparently, according to iRacing, so that's wonderful. But we can tell you it is 5 to 9 in the evening, so we will be probably finishing the race in mid-darkness as we've got about 45 minutes remaining. We've still got Horsewood, Buson, McHutchison, Kiriakopoulos, and Liliode is your top 5.
Yep, and Horsewood controlling this race quite nicely at the moment, and McHutchinson really just trying to use that alternative strategy to catch up to Buson, but at the moment it's not working for him completely. However, as we said, long game, and without using the famous cliche, it's you really do have to just think about getting to the end of this race. It's only really the last sort of 15 minutes where you're going to be trying to make moves, I would suspect. Ewan Bremer is just 7 tenths of a second ahead of Michael LeMay. And Michael LeMay just trying to carry a little bit more speed through these corners, mindful not to make a mistake, but 7th position would look quite good for him, you'd say. I always think 7th position, it's got that allure about it, hasn't it, from Formula 1. It was always the best of the rest, P7, and well, the 7th always looks better than 8th.
Yeah, it definitely does. And the interesting thing there for Michael is going up round Hawthorne, he didn't change to 4th. Most people will come down a gear into 4th, hit the throttle once the car's lined up, and away they go. I do it in the Radical. I believe some others may do it as well. But he didn't. He stayed in 5th, which really gave him a slow exit, which allowed Bremer to open up that gap again. If we can stay on board with Michael LeMay, he is coming round Druids on that run down into Graham Hill. He got a little bit loose on the exit of Druids. You can hear it there under his tyres. But if we can stay on board with him down through Pilgrims and see what he does at the end of Hawthorne's, Tom, because generally the consensus would be switching down to 4th. They wouldn't run this corner in 5th. So, and that could be why he can't close this gap back up, because I'm pretty sure Ivan Bramer will run it in 4th. But it's actually going...
Scardo went off track, apparently, and, well, he's down in 18th position for his troubles as we switch back to Michael LeMay. So, not quite able to see what you're on about, but...
no, unfortunately, the producer switched away right at the moment he was going into the corner. So, not ideal, but there you go. What more can we ask for? But Michael LeMay there in 8th doing the job, so we'll have a look maybe next time around. But, you know, still plodding along in 8th place at the moment, and literally, yeah, Place and Capella are also close together as well, one of the closest battles on the circuit at the moment.
Yep, and well, here's what happened to Cascado. He's going to, I imagine, dip it onto the grass, and what a surprise in this race, and kicks up a load of gravel. And well, he was rather stylish actually, maybe just a bit of a Joker lap line, and I'm sure that's what he'll tell you anyway.
Yeah, he'll probably give us a completely different story. He managed to keep it on track, which was always good. So there you go. But it's at least he's still going. You know, we've seen a couple of people go the wrong way, and unfortunately they end up in the barrier. But look, if we can stay on board now with like Michael LeMay coming into Hawthorne. There you go. He only goes down to 5th, which I'm quite surprised he didn't take 4th.
He actually went down to 4th there, to be fair.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. Bit of a strange one there, how these guys are doing this. I don't know, I'm sure somebody in YouTube will go, no, James, it's 5th coming down from 6th. But let us know, Paul, you're in here. You drive around Brands Hatch and Rob as well. So let me know what you do in YouTube chat. I'm generally down sort of 5th, maybe even, well, I'm probably down in 4th, to be fair, on that run down. So he is losing time. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure whether or not he's got that best way. But I'll tell you what, look on board with John McHutchinson. He'll tell us as he's in 3rd place coming down to the same corner. So between him and Mike Bousson, I'm sure some of them will be able to show us the way, should we say.
Yes, and well, actually, John McHutchinson has caught right up to Bousson in the last couple of laps. 1.3 seconds. That gap is now down to, it's 1.2 seconds actually. So McHutchinson is a man driving with a little bit of a fire in his belly, and he's catching up at a rate of knots here, and he might, because Horsewood is driving away in this one, and we suspect that McHutchinson might be able to go to the end of this race, a further 40 minutes or so on this fuel tank. He of course will have to stop again for either tyres, or we'll just do a manually assigned stop-go essentially. But we'll have to wait and see what strategy he decides to do. But right now his focus is on getting ahead of Bousson, and it's a task that so far he's going about quite nicely. The gap is just resting that second margin.
Yeah, he's set a faster sector 1 time there. You saw it flash up at the bottom of your screen, and Mike as well. He is closing in. Last lap out on a 1:17.42. Mike on a 1:17.6. So 2 tenths difference there between these guys. Andrew doing a 1:17.56 last time out as well. So a little John being the quickest of the 3 front runners, but it's going to be touch and go whether or not he can get to the end. We'll have to see how he gets on. He's got to go in anyway for a second stop. Whether or not he's going to be able to splash and dash with fuel, 40 minutes is going to, the next 40 minutes will tell us, and they do have to take their pit stops before the 10 minutes remaining in the race. So they do have to take their pit stops before 10 minutes remaining.
And well, as we head to just about 40 minutes to go, now we're the majority of the way through this race. Well, it's been a pretty exciting one so far, and as we look at now Tom and trying to make a move for 12th position, this is something I'm quite enjoying about this series actually, the fact that you have the top 20 scoring points, which means that every position, every minor position like this battle for P12 is getting you points, and of course with the incident count as well. If you actually make a move and make contact, sometimes you can lose points by making a move up a position, which is a little bit counterintuitive. But Tolman is all over the back of Capella now, and you would suspect he's going to go for a move. And in fact, no, Capella is going to come into the pits for his second pit stop, perhaps a little bit early, James.
Yeah, he's in now, so 40 minutes remaining. He's been out of sync throughout the whole race anyway. He's had his spin earlier on, he went in lap 3, and he's been involved. So it's no surprise that Capella has got in. Tolman is currently outside the incident limit bonus points. I believe he's got 3 on my system, plus he had that contact with Eric Hanoi, so that puts him on 7. If he stays on that, he'll get 1 point. But talking about the points, he's gone up 1 place into 12th, and is now, if he stays where he is, he'll get 19 points. So he gained 2 points by moving up 1 position.
It's Gyrokopoulos apparently got 0 incident points, as in fact you can see on your screen, and the driver's actually keeping them fairly low, I'd say, which is always good considering the amount of off tracks and things we have had. And the big news of the last sort of minute or so is that McHutchinson is now within the second of Bousson, and 8/10 of a second that gap now. So McHutchinson really trying to get through, and the crucial thing is these lots are keeping up with Horsewood as well. That gap is staying pretty solid around 4 seconds, which means McHutchinson, once he gets through, is definitely going to be in the driving seat when it comes to strategy. Remember, we expect him to make up that 4-second interval purely on the pit stops.
Yeah, he's got the 2 cars in 15th and 16th, Eric Hanoi and David Rolliston. Now, obviously, Andrew Horsewood has gone past them guys already and are cleared off down the road. So these guys now are really looking to try and get Eric Hanoi and David Rolliston. They're not going to get them into turn 1. I don't think they're going to get them on that run up into Druids either. So I believe it's going to be after Druids and round Graham Hill that they might be looking at the earliest opportunity. But all the while they're stuck behind here. John's opened 2 temps already up the front. So they've got to try and clear these guys, but it's just finding a place to do it safely.
Yes, absolutely. There's a little bit of backmarker traffic to contend with as well. And actually, there we go, Bousson is really caught up to that backmarker traffic, and they're going to have to let him through. But he's still being held up regardless, and 5/10 of a second, that gap has fallen down to now, as we see Mark Bousson not able to find a way through. The blue flags for Rolliston just ahead. Rolliston's not getting out of the way at this stage. There we go. Now he does make way, and not before McHutchinson gains a great deal of time on Bousson, and they've got a little bit of traffic just ahead of them as well. There you can see there's the sector timings, and Horsewood seems to be losing a little bit of time to McHutchinson in this race. And John McHutchinson really, as we said, just needs to find a way through it. Perhaps this is going to be the opportunity down into turn 1. He's going to try and get all of the speed through the corner that he can, and he has to stay behind for the time being. He can't quite get the extra speed through the corner to make a move down into Druids. And again, he's going to have to stay behind for yet another lap. However, both of these are now gaining on Horsewood, I believe.
That's Hanoi is the back marker in front currently. Horsewood's opened up. He's gaps out to 5 seconds. It was 4 seconds before these guys entered into traffic. Unfortunately, there I can guarantee Mike Bousson would have wished that David Rolliston had lifted and let him through on this part of the circuit, rather than lifting and letting him through on this next part, because it does kind of throw you off a little bit. As we can see there, Bousson coming up to the back of Hanoi. He's going to want Hanoi try and let him through on clearways, which would be the next, how can I put it, sensible position for Hanoi. Oh, Bousson's gone round!
That is huge for the race, because that means that now McHutchinson is unleashed, and Gyrokopoulos is through into 3rd position as well from practically nowhere in this race. Gyrokopoulos now is having a little bit of a battle with, in fact that's a back marker, isn't it, as Lily Horvath is a little bit further down the order. But Bousson has thrown it away in this race, and well, McHutchinson can now be unleashed. It's 6 seconds that gap has opened up to, but as we said, with pit stop strategy, if he can just gain a little bit of time now, as we head into the final 35 minutes of this race, that could be huge. He could be in the driving seat right now. As we look at Michael LeMay trying to make a move for 6th position. He's already got 7th position and is now trying to sift his way further through this field. And, well, judging by his current pace, he might be able to do this quite easily as Sandro Capella onto the grass. And works out quite nicely for him as it allowed him to let a couple of people through for his...
Yeah, I think that's either Sandro jumping out the way, but not in a very tactical position. Probably didn't have to go out onto the grass, Sandro. You didn't have to go that wide to let them through, mate. You could have just stayed on the edge of the track as these guys go racing through. But you have got Michael LeMay and Ivan Bremer literally separated by about 0.7 of a second. One of the closest battles we got on track with Gluskick and Waters, I believe, are also close together. But we're going to have a look at the Busan spin, and I can guarantee left rear tyre on the grass coming over the top of Dingle Dell.
And no. Oh, yep. Over the top, yep. And well, there we go. That was Hutchinson, maybe a little bit nervous to get through, but it's able to avoid an incident as someone's got off, as we're going to see if we can find the replay for that one for you in a moment. But here it is, actually, just on time. Anders Lilja-Hordet is going to have a spin down at that corner again. Is spun around and, well, taps the wall as well. But I don't think there'll be any damage for there. He practically crawled into that wall.
Well, you would have thought, wouldn't you? But when we're running with cardboard build cars, you probably have a look if he can. Lilja-Hordet, unfortunately, is not up behind anybody to have a look back at his front car. But he stayed in 5th, and it was almost carbon. Well, it was literally a carbon copy of Mike Buson. And that's the problem when you touch the grass this late on. You know, these guys have still got about half an hour, 33 minutes remaining. We're still not even under that hour mark yet. And these guys are nearly on lap 45. The leaders are just going across the line now to start lap 45. And then we've still got Michael LeMay and Ivan Bremer here having a battle down Pilgrims for 6th and 7th. So, you know, going around doing their business, these guys.
Here's the move.
Interesting.
And there was a hint of a move from Michael LeMay for a moment there. It's 3 tenths of a second. That gap is all over the back of Ivan Bremer, and he's certainly faster as well, which will be very, very encouraging for him as they now head down into Sector 3. And I wonder if he's going to be able to make this move, not down into Turn 1, of course, but probably Druid, the next overtaking opportunity.
Yeah, definitely on that one. He's not close enough at the moment. He's about half a second back. He's not going to gain that much going down into Turn 1. He's going to drop down to about just above his 0.4. He's not going to be the run up to Druid here. Michael LeMay is not going to be able to make that move. He's not close enough currently at the moment. He's got to be looking at closing the gap up round Druids and down into Graham Hill before he goes off down into Pilgrims to be really closing the gap back up. But currently Michael Buson, the recovering Mike Buson after his spin, has just set the fastest lap on a race on a 1:17.13.
As unfortunately, it just appears that Michael LeMay isn't quite as close as he needs to be, or faster in the places that he needs to be to properly make this move. Dick, and he seems to be very fast through Sector 2 and through the back end of Sector 3, but then he loses a lot of time in Sector 1, and you can see that's just costing, because there's no real overtaking opportunities down into Sector 2, and that's really costing him in this race, and perhaps will cost him 6th position when all is said and done. As Buson has now set the fastest lap, so driving with a little bit of anger now that he's actually had that spin and cost himself a podium. He'll feel Lilja-Hordet is in for what I imagine will be his final pit stop of the day, as we believe he's actually had a spin. Let's have a look at what's happened here, and not fair, not into Turn 1, but into Druids. Is he going to lock up the rears? Oh, he's onto the gravel, and oh, he's into the wall, and that's going to be absolutely doubtlessly a little bit of damage as well, and would suggest why he's into the pitch using a fast repair. And well, he's back out with no huge dramas, but the important thing is now he's used his 2 pit stops, so if he has got fuel to the end, he's not going to have to worry about that. But as we notch over the hour mark, we've got 30 minutes left in this race, and well, as we start to expect the final pit stops coming in, it's going to be a sprint to the line.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see where John Hutchinson is going to sit. on this one there as well. So Horsewood currently on a 1:18.7 on that last lap. That was a very slow one from Andrew there, but he is just gone past a couple of cars in traffic. 14th and 13th, Eric Hanoi and Joel Amos, so that could explain why we've got the slow lap. I'm not sure what's there, and you can see John McHutchinson is faster over the last couple of laps, but the last one was a slow one, and so I think that was down to traffic of Joel Amos and Eric Hanoi. So there you go, and lap 45, so it'll be interesting. But then again, I think that was around about the time we approached the traffic of Rolleston and Hanoi, I believe. So they could be explaining the two slow laps from John was the traffic causing the issue.
And as well, let's just have a think about the fact that John McHutchinson here is playing the long game. He's expecting to maybe be a little bit slower in this phase of the race as he's carrying a heavier fuel load. Of course, for Horsewood, as we imagine, as he approaches his final pit stop, he's going to be breathing off some of that fuel load, offloading it, I suppose, not breathing it off, it's a car, but well, as McHutchinson gets through, and as he's offloading some of that fuel, and the car's getting a little bit faster, it's maybe offsetting the tyre wear a little bit, McHutchinson is still running quite heavy, we imagine, with a 6 seconds extra worth of fuel that he took on in the pit stop. He's now going to be expecting, as we said, to just be using the much faster pit stop that he's going to have to get ahead of Horsewood, and then from there it's a matter of whether we can hold on or not.
Yeah, I think it's, do you know what, Ty? It's a very difficult one because nobody doubts McHutchinson's talent. Like, we know he's quick, we know Horsewood's been quick, we know Kyriakopoulos is quick, but we've also seen Buisson go quick, but we've also seen that mistake, and that mistakes are easy to happen up in that corner, up in Dingle Dell, the right-hander off camera. You can't see the entry. You've got to kind of point your car, shoot it, and hope you stay on the other side. So that could be why we're seeing a lot of mistakes up into that corner. But that's also, you know, a possibility for the front two as well, because Mike Buisson is no slouch in his car. He knows his car very well, and if he's made a mistake, it does leave it open to anybody can make the mistake there in that corner.
Just look at how much AstroTurf they're actually running as they head through that corner there. As I'm looking at my track map to see what that was. That's the Graham Hill bend. As they head through there, look at the amount of AstroTurf they're running. They're within centimetres of taking a little bit of grass and spinning themselves around, and that's crucial. However, Andrew Horsewood is a little bit slower than John McHutchinson at this stage, and McHutchinson is absolutely catching him at a rate of knots. So perhaps my whole little hypothesis about the fuel load and the tyres is not quite true, as McHutchinson is much faster at this stage as we start to head into a little bit of a sunset here with 25 minutes to go in the race.
Yeah, John's definitely closing up 1:17.19 last time out, 1:17.69 for Andrew Horsewood, so he's pulled about half a second back as well. We believe there may have been an incident involving Marco Tolman. We will keep an eye on that one. Eric Hanoi and I believe Joel Amos are literally down battling for 13th place. They're less than a second apart as well, so we'll keep an eye. There they are. As we speak of the Devils, they literally appear on our screen. These guys there, Eric's down 2 on his grid. Joel's in the position he started with. Eric second in the championship's going to want to try and clear Joel as soon as possible.
And hearing that Tolman might have had a PC crash, and I did see him come into the pits quite abruptly, and the good thing about iRacing is that you can get back into the game fairly quickly as long as you can get that PC back up and running. As there's a mistake. Actually, who was that for? That was Joel Amos. And now perhaps Eric Hanoi is going to be able to make a move up into 12th position. He's going to have to stay behind for the time being, but perhaps that's encouraging. Perhaps now, as he's really gaining quite a lot on Joel Amos, he's not able to find a way through. It's so difficult to overtake around this circuit.
Yeah, he's going to have to wait now as he come round up through Westfield they go, and then down coming into the tricky Dingle Dell that we've already seen so many people run off. If you can jump on, we'll have a try and get on the roll bar of one of these guys. There you go. He's got an aim, point, shoot, and it almost feels like you can't see what's happening. But here we go with Hanoi now going down Pilgrim's coming into Clark here as well. Oh, Clearway, sorry, going into Clark. Oh, I thought Hanoi was going to get him. Push right out the back, running along the start finish straight.
Yep, as they head down the... in fact, there's a few people pitting. So Buson and Kyriakopoulos have both come into the pits, perhaps a little bit early compared to the race leaders. Hutchinson now is well on the tail of Horsewood, and what is happening, I can't quite see what the gap is exactly, but I believe it's under a tenth of a second now. 800ths of a second, I believe.
Yeah, Amos had a big moment there as well. He got a bit of a tank slapper coming on. That Lloyd, I got my teeth in, Mr. Commentator, allowed Eric Hanoi to go through into 11th place. So Buson and Kyriakopoulos are in the pits, and away they go in 4th, and I believe Buson might come out in 5th place in.
As I apologise, the gap only got down to 9 tenths of a second in the end between Horsewood and McHutchinson. But McHutchinson is, as we said, going to be much faster in the pit stops. We're almost certain this. Otherwise, why would you take on 6 seconds extra worth of fuel load? It wouldn't make sense. So Horsewood now is going to have to basically dictate when to pull the trigger on this pit stop. As we see Eric Hanoi now still pressuring Michael LeMay, and now down the inside he's going to try and make a move into the final corner, and well, Michael LeMay can't defend away from that one.
No, we've got Dan in chat. I can confirm Marco had an iRacing crash, sadly, so unfortunately he is out. John is on the charge. Yes, he is. Just set the fastest lap on the race on 1:16.96, 0.7 back from Andrew Horsewood at the moment as we go into, I believe we've got about the last 23 minutes remaining.
Yep, and not long to go at all now. And after you have already done an hour and about 10 minutes, when you're going to do another 20 minutes, it's absolutely a flash in the pan. And we're really into the stages now where it's going to be a sprint race to the line. You remember, we're now down to less than sprint distance with about 23 minutes to go in the race. If you go to a replay, what is this about? This is Buson, and he hasn't spun again, has he? Down into the famous old corner, and he's spun it on the grass, and easy to do, and he just avoided the wall.
Yeah, but he's down into 7th now. He lost 5th and 6th there to place Liliode, and unfortunately for him, Liliode is pitted twice. Place has only pitted once. A place could be a free move for Mike if he can keep it on track. There you go. There are the pit stops. Unfortunately for him, Mike Buson is going to have to pass Liliode on track because Liliode has pitted twice.
And actually, someone who is actually a little bit quiet in this race, but has made 2 pit stops, is Kyriakopoulos. He's down in 4th position, and well, he couldn't, could he? It's 45 seconds the gap. He's going to be right with the leaders when they come into the pits. Kyriakopoulos might have pulled the wool over everyone's eyes here.
Yeah, there's an opportunity for him. He's got a 45-second gap. It's basically about a lot of the second times are running around about 36 seconds. So he might be a little bit short, but if he can close up a little bit more, he's going to be there or thereabouts at the end for Kyriakopoulos. He's got to go some, none. Going to have to go some.
As McHutchinson is trying to get through on Horsewood. Well, he's not trying to get through. We made that mistake earlier in the race. He's very content. And now here's the pit stop for John McHutchinson. This is a crucial point in the race. We're going to have to see how long he's going to be in the box. Is he going to do one of his notorious pit stop shenanigans? And let's see, how long is he going to be on the jacks for us? He's definitely taking tyres, we can tell you that much, but is he going to be in there much longer? No, it's a very, very short pit stop for John McHutchinson, and that might be a race-winning pit stop at that, and he's ahead of Kyriakopoulos as well, but only just, I think.
Yeah, 29.63 seconds pit lane time, 10-second stop for John. We did say he's in the pits for 6 seconds longer than from the first lot on the first round of pit stops. So he's still coming out in 2nd place. He's still got a 56-second gap over Kyriakopoulos. Oh, Capella is round again, tagging the curb on the right-hand side. Spinning the radical into the wall he goes. Damage for Sandro Capella as he tries to stay out of the way not having good. The curse of the broadcast for Sandro Capella this year, and it still continues here in round 4.
And,
on the curb, I believe.
Yep, here's what happened then. Down into that
he went in early.
corner. And yep, went in early. And that's surprisingly easy to do, but then, oh dear. Oh boy. That's certainly makes you look very silly. And, well, he won't be wanting to watch that one back. But now we wait for Horsewood to come into the pit. 24 seconds is absolutely not a time you can, pit in. He's going to have to take a lot of fuel, we believe. And, well, he's going to get jumped here by McHutchinson. And if McHutchinson can get to the end of the race, which we're assuming he can, he might have just won this race.
Yeah, even if he takes the shortest stop, he has gone a couple of laps longer, but even if he takes the shortest stop, he's got to take about a 23-second stop to get in and out in front of McHutchinson. You can see the gap's at 24 seconds, so he's going to have to go in, get fueled, and come out. Now, we are expecting him to have to take more fuel, but it's how much he's going to have remaining from his first stint, really. Coming into nearly 15 minutes remaining. Oh, I don't know. I'm not going to sit and call this one. Unfortunately, I'm going to get splinters and sit on the fence.
But now we just wait for Horsewood to come into the pit. He's going to stay out for yet another lap. He's got a little bit of back marker traffic just behind him. He's got 6th position just ahead of him as well. And I wonder if he's just timing it so that he can come out into a pocket of clear air. As I'm looking on the track map.
There isn't much.
Yeah, no, there isn't much at all.
No.
It's a very packed circuit. So,
yeah, the next gap he's got is unfortunately in front of McHutchinson. That's really the gap.
Really, he's going to have to just... I wonder why he's taking so long. Unless he's hoping to go 15 minutes, put 15 minutes worth of fuel in, maybe take some new tyres, or perhaps with McHutchinson being so close, maybe he thinks, actually, I need to just fuel and I'm going to risk the double stint on the tyres. It's only going to be a shorter stint on the 15 minutes. This has really been a monster stint, and I want to say about 45 minutes from these drivers, pitting at about the half an hour mark. So maybe that's what he's thinking about at this stage, as Kirikopoulos is well down the order. And remember, Horsewood took 50 seconds through the pit lane in his first stop, which would suggest that Kirikopoulos would jump him at this stage. But remember, he's got to take on a lot less fuel.
I don't know if... Kirikopoulos is the same distance away in third as John McHutchinson's second stop. Right, it's 29.63. Kirikopoulos is now 29.8, give or take. It will change as they go around the track. But it's going to be a close one, whether or not Horsewood can do this. His stop is going to have to be quick. He hasn't gone in. He's lost time just near enough as well, because he's now going through traffic. Don't get me wrong, McHutchinson's got to go through the same traffic, but Horsewood is now coming up to 6th place. He's coming up to literally David Walters. So they're going to, I don't know, I would be looking at trying to jump in this one before I get round that. McHutchinson's still approaching the traffic. Not quite there. He may be waiting for McHutchinson to get to the traffic before he goes in, because then he knows he's going to have a bit of time.
15 minutes to go in the race in about 45 seconds time, so we're well and truly into the dying embers of this one, and Horsewood still leads, but for how long we wonder. Here's a little bit of a battle. It's a three-way battle between Rolliston, Stephen Place and Joel Amos, and Stephen Place is going to actually rather look forward. He's going to have to look back a little bit, as Joel Amos is right behind him in this one. You can see him perhaps thinking about a move down the inside, but there's a lot of fast corners in this sector 2 heading into sector 3, and really you can't quite get through.
Yeah, well, Place is kind of in the wrong place, excuse the pun, because obviously he went a little bit longer in the pit stops. He got up the field, everybody thought he was going to be up there, and then of course he had to take his second stop, which has dropped him whereabouts he is. We think he may have made that mistake, but I think it was actually just his pit stop that has put him in this position, and that's why he's down in 14th. So, yeah, he got passed by Rolliston on the exit of the pit lane, And then unfortunately that's put him into the position where he is at the moment. So place is not out of position. He's where he should be, because obviously where he should be after the pits. But there you go. There is.
Here's what happened to him.
Yeah, he got a little bit of a wiggle on and come through, and wasn't far from being where he was anyway.
No, he didn't lose a great deal in terms of time. He wasn't going to make progress forward, so maybe a position in the end, and if he can get that back, it won't be too great in the end. Here is Horsewood. Here is going to be a race-defining pit stop for the man who has led every single lap of this one when we haven't had other people into the pits, but he's led the majority of this race, we can say that much. And where is John McHutchinson? He's coming round the final corner now, I can tell you, and I think he's going to get the lead of this race. Horsewood is not out of the pits just yet. Where is he? He's still there and he's still stationary, and McHutchinson is through, and it's going to be, I believe, about 10 seconds worth of a gap as they come on round. It might be closer to 6th, and McHutchinson is through into the lead of the race. That is huge.
Yep, and look at the gap. The gap is 6.45 seconds, which is the same as 6-second gap that McHutchinson put on his first pit stop. So there you go. That is basically why he's got to where he got to, because of the 6 seconds he took on the first one.
And yep, exactly. It's bang on 6 seconds, and that's really helping along McHutchinson for sure. And Kyriakopoulos, we thought maybe it was going to be able to get back to the front of this field, but not going to be in the end with a shorter second pit stop. 13 minutes to go in this race now, and Horsewood's going to have to drive very quickly to get back into this race-winning position, as Joel Amos now is trying to make a move on Stephen Places. I have just heard confirmation in my ear that every car now has made their second pit stop, so no one's going to have to pit again. And whether someone does is a different question. And maybe with points for fastest lap, some of the people who are maybe more in no man's land, maybe I'm not really sure who would that be in this field actually, but maybe they think of coming in for some new tyres. But mostly everyone has made their final pit stops.
Yeah, it's more importantly as well to remember that John McHutchinson is going to currently get a point for the fastest lap. And on that one, it's currently showing there's still no incidents either, so he's going to get an extra 5, possibly even 4, maybe depending on the system. I think we both have different things to me and producer there. And he's going to get 50 points, so he's on for basically about a 55-point haul from this one race, which is going to move him right up the field. So it's going to be definitely interesting.
And yes, he's only 4 points down on Eric Hanoi, and he's, I want to say, 21 points down on Denis Kyriakopoulos. So dare I say, he might even, when all is then done, get the lead of the championship at the end of this one. And what a round it has been for him. That's for certain. As we continue on board with Joel Amos, still not able to find a way through, and that seems to be a theme in this race. People struggling to find a way through.
Yeah, it definitely does. We come into the last 12 minutes, guys, as well. This is when everybody had to take their second pit stop. They have taken their second pit stop before the time limit. So there you go. Don't forget as well, guys, as in here, if you are here for the first time, subscribe, turn on the bells, give it a big thumbs up as well, and come and see us again next Friday for the sprint race, which is going to be another exciting evening of racing as we come into the last, nearly breaking into the last 10 minutes there, Tom.
Yep, and well, dare I say it, it might be a little bit regulation for the majority of the drivers in this field, as Amos is only the battle going on at the moment.
Yeah, we've got the producer in our ear telling us that if John wins where he is, he will pass Hanoi, but Kyriakopoulos will be in the lead with an 11-point gap. So there you go. So Hanoi will be down in third. McHutchinson will be in second, and Kyriakopoulos will still lead the championship. So but that is us only your provisional, guys. We are in the back with a calculator, a piece of pen, and an abacus. So you know we've got to carry the ones and do the dots, and don't forget the decimals, because otherwise we might not get it right. But keep an eye on the website. that's where they'll all be posted, as we see Daniele Cascado coming down into turn 1, and hopefully this isn't a run wide on the gravel, as he says that it is. So there you go.
And, well, where have we seen that before this afternoon?
Which lap would you like to pick, Tom? Because I'm sure it's probably been on all of them.
Well, there's a good 80% chance you can pick any lap. But here's a move, actually, a brave move from Paul and May, and he's not actually able to find the space in the end on Capella. This is basically for Pride Points as 18th position in the race, and I suppose they do get top 20 points. So, but this is the battle for oh no, Paul and May is slow. And what has happened there is that's the leader. He's letting the leader through.
It's his brother Michael.
Oh, right.
Michael's lapping him. So Michael has lapped him and gone through. So Paul is obviously down in 19th. Michael's up in 9th. So I'm sure these guys are on a voice call or in a Discord together where Michael has literally told Paul, shift it, son, I'm coming through. So there you go.
There's only 2 major gaps in this field. It's this one we're looking at right now between Stephen Place and Joel Amos and Eric Hanoi and Iwan Bremer. But neither really coming down too quickly, as Bremer made a little bit of a mistake there, but Hanoi not able to find a way through. And with 9 minutes to go in the race now, I want to say that is about bang on 8 laps, maybe.
Give or take, yes, you're probably not far away on a 1:16. This late in the evening, you know, we are approaching 10 o'clock. My maths ain't quick enough to work that one out. But yeah, give or take, we should be there or thereabouts the next 7 laps as we see Rolleston go round on the exit to Stirling. So I can guarantee if we had a look back at that, it's probably an exit curb on the right-hand side.
Yes, most likely is. Stephen Place
Yes.
now really under pressure from Joel Amos, and Amos still not able to find a way through. And this is the issue I'm finding with this track, is you really have to be so much faster than someone to actually make a move through. And well, these two have been so close together for so long now, and not able to find a way through each other. Here is the replay of what's happened to David Rolleston, and I have a fear that we may have seen this a couple of times before. And he goes wide and is well to be avoided. In fact, he barely even spins in the end. And oh dear, that was very close in the end. But well, no huge drama, as I don't think he even lost a position, did he? Really in the end.
Yeah, Cascado went past him, which was the flash of the car that went past us here. But this is Eric Hanoi and Ivan Braber in the battle as these guys are running down into Hawthorne now, the fast right-hander, and then they're going to be going along into Westfield, which has also caused a bit of drama this evening before they drop down the hill into Dingledale and up into Dingledale Corner. And this is the one that's caused us these problems. And fortunate enough they both made it through as we go down into Stirling's. And away they go, down in Clearways, coming down into Clark.
And he thinks about the move, actually, but not going to make it in the end. Eric Hanoi, second in the championship, set to lose that second position as it stands, with Hutchinson sailing on through to the lead of this race. Not long to go now for him to make this move either, as I think we're on 24 minutes, are we not? And here we go. Down the inside goes Hanoi. It's a huge dive bomb, and what a beautiful move in the end.
Yeah, a little bit of a weird one. If we have a look back at that, Bramer gave him a lot of room. You know, was playing a very nice here, son, have the position away there, because if you watch Bramer coming up onto the approach into Druids, he leaves a lot of room. Stays left, look, just lifts and allows Hanoi through. So, not quite sure on that one, but it didn't look like Bramer gave him much defence as they're coming into the last 5 minutes.
I think what was happening there was he was taking a later apex, but that late apex essentially allowed Hanoi to find the space to get through. But that should be that move signed, sealed and delivered now, and I don't think there'll be much resistance from further back.
Yeah, oh, Amos got a wiggle on. Place got a big one, and I believe, did Place manage to save it? He's, I believe he has saved it and is settled back in. He did get passed by Amos, and I believe Amos has got through. Amos had his own problem, Place had a bigger problem, and together neither of them could find a solution for the problem. apart from their place going off track and losing a position to Amos.
And that's not the place you want to be, that's for certain.
Oh, boom, Tom, well done.
It's not funny, I was told by the producer in the
Just ignore him. Just ignore him. I do. It's always hilarious when we make fun. It's fine.
It's fine. We'll get him fired by the end of this race for.
Yeah, he's probably not in the booth to be telling us not fun. Maybe with the wrong person, you know. So we'll see what happens here to the producer at the end of this broadcast.
But Colin Wynn got a very quiet race, the producer just say. So maybe that's his saving grace, giving us top tier analysis to make us sound far. But yes, no, Colin Wynn has not been really anywhere in this race. It's a quiet race. 10th position and well, going along quite nicely as well. 4 minutes to go in this one, and you have to say, after a race that bubbled up and promised us a lot, in the end it hasn't delivered us a great deal in these closing stages, but it's definitely been a fun evening for sure. As a drive through for Cascara. Only 11 instant points there, which I find very well.
That's I don't think it takes into consideration contact. So you're looking at 11x, it's just 11 off tracks. It doesn't take into consideration the contact that he may have had that we've not seen, which would put him over the 14x limit. Somebody else, Capella as well, is very close to it. If he's already gone through, we may have missed it again. So yeah, don't forget there was an issue with setting up the session, where they only had a 14x limit, and to be fair, apart from Cascado, I don't believe anybody else is really close to it. So, well done to these guys. No.
As we head on through to the final couple of minutes of this contest, and there'll be 2 minutes at the line. So as I have it, there'll be 2 more laps in this one, depending on where Hutchinson is on track and what a race he has had so far. I mean, barring actually binning the car, which he hasn't done so far, he's been flawless. As what's happened to Amos is going through one of the hairpins on this circuit, and oh dear, the car just spins around on him like a pendulum, and maybe that's a pit stop as well. But that he was trying to get through on someone, wasn't he? So that's hampered his progress.
Him and Stephen Place were having this wonderful battle. Oh, as you see Rolliston go round there, Damien G just slips up the inside. Rolliston is probably on the verge of losing tyres at the moment. He's been going along, coming into that late stint. Pit lapped on 57, so he hasn't been going that long. He's only been going 11 laps on them tyres, if he's changed tyres at all. Of course, if he hasn't, he's been going a long way. So that could explain why Rolliston has gone round. Hutchinson is currently coming down Pilgrims, so just in front of these guys that we're looking at. And I believe it's going to be taking the white flag this lap. So there you go. I tell you what though, Buisson and Walters here are, they're going to be going nose to tail for the next couple of laps. Oh, it's Liliorde actually, Buisson and Liliorde.
Oh, and he's off, and he's going to switch across the circuit, and now Liliorde is going to have one swung around the outside on him by Mike Buisson, but Buisson can't quite find a way through into Graham Hill Bend, and Liliorde didn't make the most convincing deal of that. It's he stays ahead in the end.
Yeah, he must have that's a white flag lap now. We're on the white flag. He must have had a little bit of a white-brown moment, a brown pants moment there for Liliorde, as he was heading on for a massive tank slapper that sent him near enough going round. But don't forget as well, these guys are going to have one more lap there. They are that far back from Hutchinson, so these guys are going to be able to go again because they have not been lapped. So there you go. Wouldn't be surprised if we're saying that though. Liliorde pitted on lap 45. We're now on 69, 24 laps. I don't know. Maybe he's struggling a little bit with tyres, but who knows?
Here is going to be the move from Buisson, who thinks about it around the outside. Once again, Liliorde moves to cut that move off as we head deep into the sunset now here at Brands Hatch. The race is going to go right down to the wire here, and as these two take the white flag now, Buisson still can't find a way through, and this is maybe his last opportunity really down into Druids, and not able to find the space. So Lily Horde might have held on to P4 here, and I
Mm,
think that's a fairly good result from him.
yeah, no, I'd be looking at if I was Mike. He's got to close right up here going into Surtees and try and get them on the run down into Pilgrims. You know, if he's back about 0.4, McHutchinson has crossed the line. He's taken a victory. We've missed that one. And of course, there is Andrew Horsewood's got across the line as well. Kyriakopoulos is coming, going to be going round. He's coming down top of Dingledale at the moment, going down as well. So we can switch back to the Busan battle if we can. He's just on the inside of Liliode. There we go. In Dingledale, and it's going to be on the run down into the last corner if he can hold it. And this is it, Tom. All
This
for
is
nothing.
it. And, well, he might be able to send one, but it's not really a major braking opportunity down here. And Lily Horde puts on a pretty solid defence for his troubles as well. It's going to be 0.2 of a second as they cross the line. And Busan has to settle for 5th. Slightly disappointing considering he spun himself out of 3rd position. And, well, out of 2nd position, actually, wasn't it? As Hanoi is going to cross the line in 7th, with Bremer the last one across the line in 8th. Actually, it might be a lie. I think Gascardo has got to cross as well. But, well, I enjoyed that as a first iRacing commentary, and that hour and a half flew by. It was very entertaining, that's for sure.
Yeah, it definitely does go that fast, but I want to give a shout out to Eric Hanoi. Wasn't quite sure if he was going to make it. Gained 4 on his position into 7th place. And he's got bonus point of 1 and 31 points on the scores. But there is the race results. John McHutchison takes the victory. Andrew Horsewood in 2nd. Dennis Kyriakopoulos in 3rd. Anders Liliode in 4th place. Mike Buson in 5th. David Waters in 6th. Buson did really kind of hinder himself, really, after spinning twice at the same corner. So unfortunately for him. Hanoi with up into 7th, Ivan Bremer in 8th, Michael LeMay in 9th, Graham Brown in 10th, Colin Wynn in 11th, fairly quiet, didn't really see much of Colin, finishes behind his teammate Graham Brown, Stephen Place in 12th, Joel Amos 13th, Nia Gluskick down in 14th, Daniele Cascado down in 15th, not good for the Mud-Eye boys, that's going to be one to have a look back and see what went wrong. Damien G down in 16th, David Rolliston there in 17th place. Sergio Cabela rounds out the top 18 of the grid currently as well. Paul LeMay below that down in 19th. Paul Marco Tolman in 20th. Gary Truby down in 21st. Was in the pits basically for about an hour. So not quite sure what happened to him. And Lee Green, I don't believe, took the start. Oh no, he did 2.96 laps before he decided that he'd had too many soidas to carry on. So there you go. But that is that all done and dusted this evening.
And on the next race in this particular league is Road America on the 22nd of June, which I believe is next week on the Wednesday. Oh no, sorry, that's
the sprint is on the Friday. On
yeah.
the 26th of June will be Road America. And next week is Zandvoort for the 17th for these guys as well. So we'll see who jumps in the interview booth. Normally somebody jumps in and says hello. So we'll have to see and how they get on and tell us about their race and how they get on and everything else, and let us know in chat. So if you are here and you are listening to the broadcast, please come and say hello. And we'll have a chat with you there. And then, well done to the top 3, says Rob Williams. John all the way. Yes, that was John's victory there. He basically took the gap by about 7.11. Dennis Kyriakopoulos was in 3rd. So an absolute stunning drive from Dennis there as well. Up 1 position. Liliode up 1. Buson's got to be kicking himself, Tommy. He went down 3 positions from the 2, the 2nd place that he should have had, really. And unfortunately, yeah, he put himself down in 5th place there.
Yeah, but well, he had a lot of competition from behind, so I don't think he'll be feeling too sore about that, as the race pace just obviously wasn't there for him this evening, and I think he'll be pretty happy with 4th, regardless, given some of the names that were behind him. But overall, I think really the best of the race had to have been John McHutchinson, as I believe we've actually got an interview from Kyriakopoulos.
Yeah. Oh, Dennis has joined us. Dennis, how are you, young sir?
Hello, James. Very well, thank you.
You good, mate? Not a bad race. Third place.
Oh, it's an amazing race. When I look at the names behind me, I'm really surprised to have achieved such a result.
Dudes, come on. Look, you're not leading the championship because you're you're right up there every single race, mate. Every single week, every single race you do, every single race I watch, you're up there. So don't put yourself down. Third is an amazing feat. And you had a stellar one.
No, it was nice. I think I have a good consistency, so maybe I'm not as fast as some other drivers, but I'm consistent. I don't do mistakes on pit entry or stuff like that, so that's explains also the good results.
Yeah, definitely. And we move forward now. We've got Zandvoort in the sprint. So that should be a good one next Friday. And Road America in the endurance. How are they for you? I think Zandvoort, you said you didn't mind, didn't you? I think we talked on Friday.
Yeah, Zandvoort is okay, I think. It's quite short track. I haven't raced there a lot, but I think it should be okay. In
Um,
2 weeks, I'm not sure I can drive though.
you're
So
not what show? Sorry.
in 2 weeks, I'm not sure I can join the race.
Why?
Some other commitments, unfortunately.
You do realise that we need a note from your mum allowing you permission to skip the race. Okay, so you need to send it through like they do at school when you've done something wrong with your leg, and your mum writes you a note to say, "Dennis cannot do PE this week. He hurt his little D." So I'm expecting a note to be emailed through to me.
Sure, I will do.
Okay then, Dennis. Well, congratulations on your third place, and we'll see you next Friday.
Yeah, sure. See you, James.
See
Bye
you
bye.
later.
Bye.
Right, also in the booth is John McHutchinson. Tom, if you'd like to have a word with John.
As John McCutchinson, as well, you apparently have a bit of a name of yourself of creating alternate strategies, and you created a bit of a bold one today, and you must be pretty happy with the patience zone to just get the win in that race.
Yeah, hi Tom. Yeah, it was just a strategy call. I was trying to save fuel behind Andrew at the first stint, and I didn't manage it. I don't know how he managed it, but I was hoping to come in or carry on a lap longer and then do a short stint and try and run away. But I had to reverse it once he got the same laps as me and went a bit longer. It worked out.
And
Sorry,
go on, James. No.
John, as always, then victory. 6-second gap, 6-second extra fuel on the first pit stop. Gave you just basically about a 7-second victory there in the race.
Yeah, I had to try and do something different from him, and he was right in front of me in the pit stop, so I just ran a little bit extra fuel. I don't think he changed tyres in the first stop. I'm not sure. We didn't see his car go up, but you don't have to change tyres, so good on him.
Over to you, Tom. There you go.
And John, now you've closed the gap quite significantly at the top of the standings. So you starting to think about maybe a championship win?
Yeah, if I can manage them all, definitely. The endurance races I should be okay on a Sunday night when I'm not too hungover like tonight. There was football on yesterday, so as you can imagine. But I don't know that I don't know where I am in the league. I think it was third, was it, before tonight? Dennis was top. So I'm not sure.
You were in third behind Eric, and then you've jumped Eric, and still we think if producer Tyler has got it right with his abacus and his calculator, we believe you may still be only 11 points behind Dennis. So there you go.
Pesky Kyriakopoulos. Yeah, even I can say his name.
Kyriakopoulos. I can say it too. Not everybody can, John. No, it's a difficult one. It's a difficult one. Well, there you go, John. Much love for joining us, and congratulations on your win this week. And we'll see you. Are you doing Zandvoort on Friday for the sprint?
Hopefully. Yeah, I should be okay for that.
Good.
Hopefully.
Then we'll see you on Friday for the sprint race. John, have a good week, and we'll see you on Friday.
And you guys, thanks for the broadcast. Good night.
Good night. All right, so in comes Mike Uson. Now, Mike, how are you?
Very well. Good evening. Yourself?
Well, I'm all right. I wasn't the one sitting in second place and spun.
Well, the bigger problem was me messing my second pit stop up, but so we won't talk. Well, we will talk about it, but
Go on
yeah.
then, because we're not privy to this information. So there you go.
Well, I'd been speaking to Mr. David Rollston beforehand, and he told me what fuel to go for. Problem was, Mike on a second pit stop, in a panic, was selecting his tyres as he came into the box. I think I changed 6 tyres somehow.
Nice. Good job.
So the tyres were fresh. I was sat there for obviously another, 12 seconds.
Okay. Well, that could see what have caused you a problem. I'm not going to lie. And that maybe we should try and, set these up a little bit earlier on, considering we had a long Pilgrims drop straight to check on that, Mike.
Yep.
I'm not going to say too much about that one. But also, you had 2 spins at the same corner on top of Dingle Dell. We were discussing that corner, and once your rear left hits that grass, it's just going around, isn't it? There's not a lot you can do.
Yeah, no, I was mindfully aware John was getting closer, and I'd sort of looking a bit too much in my mirrors and sort of drifted out a little bit. I think the second one was just in frustration of what I'd done in the pits, because I think it was it just after I'd come out the pits, I think, on my second run. And I think that was all that really was me thinking, this is all over for me, and not concentrating. But
Yeah.
I tried to recover.
Yeah, Liliorde. He's like a roadblock when you get behind him, isn't he? Doesn't leave you much way through.
Yeah, he done well, because I sort of was catching him, then I sort of fell off, and then I sort of re-engaged a bit, and I thought it's just easier when you've got a target in front. When I dropped, or had got dropped by John and Mr. Horsewood, I sort of drifted off a little bit, and concentration was not there. So, but once I had somebody back in front of me, it was let's go down and hunt them down.
Definitely on that one, Mike. We are in 2 weeks' time on the 26th. Road America. How'd you find that? Are you doing the sprint at Zandvoort on Friday?
Yeah. I haven't looked at Zandvoort yet, because I can't remember if I'm confusing with another track or not. But definitely going to do Zandvoort. Road America, yeah, everyone knows Road America, don't they? So, but pretty good for me. So
yeah, good. Well, there you go. Well, Mike, congratulations on your 5th place, and we'll see you next week.
Yep. See you soon.
See you later, mate. Take care.
Bye.
Well, there you go. Let's bring it in, Tom, for a final word. For the final word, Tom, what do you think? Epic racing, wasn't it?
A very good race and a battle of strategies, that's for certain. But enjoyed it, and looking forward to the next one.
Awesome. Well, there you go, guys. That rounds out tonight's racing from me, Tom, and producer Tyler in the background. You all take care. Have a great week. And you never know, we might see you on the track sometime. Good night.